Forever. Dog.
Joe, this is the time of the year, ain't it? When they start handing out the big awards, they start writing all the end-of-year lists. It's a big time of the year for movie lovers. It's a very special time, Joe. It's the reason for the season is all these awards that all these movies get. But maybe, I would say, maybe the most important event of awards season, definitely the most interesting, and as far as I'm concerned, the most consequential. This is the Oscars as far as I'm concerned. I'm talking about John Waters' annual top 10 movies of the year list,
yes,
baby. The Pope of Trash himself always brings it. I cannot wait to see John's wacky list every year.
Every year.
It's the best. Last year, he had Beau is Afraid. Ari Aster's Beau is Afraid is his best movie of the year. Incredible pick. Didn't even show up on my top 10. I think it's a great pick.
You know, in my 5 best pictures, obviously.
Well, you and John are two peas in the pod, I guess. Yeah.
No. But I will say every year, doesn't John Waters' top 10 act as sort of like a recalibration for you mentally, where you're like, okay, it like bumps it makes you a couple assumptions you have about certain movies kind of shored up. Like, okay, it's on the right side of John or the wrong side of John. Like, I do love the list, and it does matter.
Is John? I treat it almost as fact. This year, we'll see. Right. This year, there's a really tough one on there for me.
Well, yeah.
But let's get into it.
Jump in.
So, number 1, Love Lies Bleeding is his best movie of the year. Again, incredible
perfect John pick.
Incredible.
That's what you
John
want from
pick.
your Waters list. You want Love Lies Bleeding.
I liked Love Lies Bleeding. It's not going to show up anywhere.
I thought it was
it's
really
not going to get
good.
anywhere close to my top 10.
I'm with you.
This is the perfect John Waters pick. He also nailed the essence when you're doing these lists of what a number 1 pick is, which is, you have to be honest, but you also have to try to be original with your number 1 pick. Nobody wants you to put the same movie that everyone else is putting as your number 1. So you have to be honest, but also singular. Sort of, you have to sort of lean into your personality. Like, what did I like more than anybody else?
You have to trust yourself on a distinctive number 1.
Yes.
Every once in a while, your number 1 is, the consensus number 1, and you have to be honest about that moment too. But, John loved
he loved Love Lies Bleeding.
And when he walked out and everyone else was like, yeah, it was really good. He was like, what do you mean really good?
It was the movie of the year.
Fucking best. Yeah, and like in that delta between what people think and what you think can add so much sauce to it.
I have too his like little comments too. He like said this is the movie that Russ Meyer might have made if he had been a lesbian intellectual addicted to steroids. That's high praise. That's high praise.
Fair enough. That's true. A lot of good steroids in there.
And I think too, like, you also want a movie that feels, even if just for you, feels like the movie of the year, like let's say like I loved Edward Berger's All Quiet on the Western Front. Like, I couldn't make that number 1 because you need like what's going to be like a definitive movie for 2024.
You couldn't, because that's not your personality. Somebody else might be like, I'm an All Quiet on the Western Front.
I think you want it. One of the things you want to do with your number 1 pick as you're making your top 10 movies of the year list, which you should. Everyone should be it should be compulsory. You should have to do it. Is compulsory mean mandatory? Is mandatory?
Mandatory means
it should be mandatory. It should be mandatory that you have to do your top 10 movies of the year list, and use this list as your inspiration because it's great. Now he leans into some predictable ones 2 through 4. Queer, The Brutalist, Hard Truths, bragging that he's seen Hard Truths already.
Look, number 2, Queer, Lucas Queer. John Waters gave it 2,
which we're going to talk about tonight.
Then he liked The Brutalist. So, like, I mean, I've never seen the movie. Looks straight as an arrow. That's like high praise for like 3-hour long, doing the damn thing, American epic movie, right? So John
Waters liked it.
John's hinting like this movie's fucking amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Hard Truths, he's bragging that he got to see it.
He got to see Hard Truths before the rest of us. We will see it in January. We'll review it before.
Oh, sorry, we don't live in New York, where you can watch it on December 6th. On Friday, you could have watched it.
Now, a movie I had not heard of before this list, Messy, directed by Alexi Wasser, in her directorial debut. Messy follows the life of brutally self-aware, promiscuous, love-addicted Stella Fox who moves to New York after a devastating breakup, etc., etc. Romantic dalliances over the course of a summer. He called it Woody Allen-esque, Waters did, which, again, high praise from a filmmaking perspective. And I'm going to check it out when I can. Messy. Now, here's the big one, Joe. This is why we're doing this, the big one. You knew John had a bomb for you. You knew John wasn't going to just sleepwalk through, 6 through 10.
No.
He's got Joker Folia do at number 6. At number 6, Joe, one of the worst movies of the year. What happened here? What is John doing?
Look, John's a hateful guy. He's got a lot of hate in his heart. He's got a lot of love in his heart too. But he's a twisted F. We all know
I don't
it.
blame him. We just heard that Liar Mouth with Aubrey Plaza is not getting made. His new movie's not getting made. You're not letting John Waters make movies anymore?
I'm not mad about it. I disagree. I thought Joker 2 was a really tough watch, but I don't disagree that it was John Waters' 6th favorite movie of the year. That tracks. He's got a bone to pick with this world. Joker, Folie à Deux, has some lovers of high esteem. Jason Blum, Tarantino, John Waters.
Well, Blum likes everything he watches.
John Waters added to the list. There's this contingent of these angry smarties. Older angry smarties.
But it's not like I think they are not seeing the movie. I think it becomes a vessel for them to exercise their anger against Hollywood. And I think they love that. They love the exercise of the movie.
Some movies are like that.
I don't think they're seeing the movie.
Some movies are like that.
Listen to this crap, okay? I'm so sorry. I love John Waters more than life itself. This is just garbage. All right. And this is why we love his list.
This has to be the list. It has to have this in it.
Finally, a love story I can relate to. Okay, great line. Great opening line about Joker Folie à Deux. So insane, so well thought out, so well directed. No. It's Jailhouse Rock meets Busby Berkeley. Busby Berkeley. The worst part about the movie is that Todd Phillips like phones in the musical.
There's
numbers.
one number when he gets hit with like a spotlight. I don't know what that
phones it in. That's my main complaint with the movie, that doesn't lean into the musical numbers. Stupid critics. I love that. Gaga so good. Joker so right. Die dumbbells die. Honestly,
like that.
A great closing line. A great closing salvo by Waters. It honestly hurts. It hurts for John Waters to call you a dumbbell.
It feels good. I want John Waters to call me a dumbbell and throw, shade at me. I like that. It's like that's another texture you want from your John Waters. Just getting yelled at, called a dum-dum. I like that.
Well, that's your kink, baby. That's
I like that.
That's what you love. Mm-hmm. Now, a movie that you also love, Femme, comes in at number 7. This is vindicating for you,
Finally,
Joe.
some fucking respect. Put some respect on the name.
I
have
a lot. I have a lot of friends that are movie lovers. I talk to a lot of movie lovers. I follow all their dumbasses on X.
Yeah.
You're the only person talking about Femme, Joe, besides John Waters.
Thanks. Thank you, Brett. At the halfway point of the year, I said Nathan Stewart Jarrett's my best actor this year. Kind of a lock. Still waiting. Mm-hmm. Tick tock. Daniel Craig makes a case. We'll see. But no, Nathan Stewart Jarrett and Femme is amazing. The movie Femme, very dark, very tough to watch. Again, awesome. Terrific acting. Great writing. I love that movie. Thank you, Mr. Waters.
Now, thank you also for number 8, where he has Amelia Perez, Jacques Audiard's Amelia Perez. And I say thank you because I've noticed this nasty little trend online recently, Joe, where there is a backlash against Amelia Perez. Perhaps a predictable backlash because of how, lauded and awarded it's been. But a backlash where the kids are saying it's overrated, it's bad, what am I watching? Why does everybody think this is good? Thank you, John Waters, for stepping in, setting these kids straight.
Yeah, it's good.
Validating Amelia Perez further beyond the ways it's already been validated. Amelia Perez is one of the best movies of the year. I don't know. The backlash, I guess, again, was inevitable for kind of a unique awards season movie, but it's totally undeserved. Amelia Perez is legit, and it deserves all the hype that it's getting, in my opinion. A movie now, Joe. This is if we were tracking these like stocks, a movie that is rising and rising and rising. That I have not seen yet, but rising in my sort of anticipation. I think Baby Girl might knock us out, dude. I think there's a little bit there was a little bit of sort of like, I don't know, familiarity around like, oh, the straights are doing an S&M movie. It's like, okay, they want to show that they're fucking freaky or whatever. Yeah, we get it. So there's a little bit of that when you heard about the movie, when you saw the trailer. But I just keep hearing such great things. Waters has it on his top 10. Yeah. And like, and Waters even made a note in the comments about like, usually I scoff like when the straights try to get, freaky in their movies, but like Baby Girl's legit. So
I'd love to hear that. About to get spicy this Christmas.
I cannot wait.
I've been seeing that like 1 and 2 on people, like not just people, like critics lists. Like I think this is a Best Picture kind of contender.
I think Kidman too is going to be a front runner.
And if I was Mikey and Neon, I would be looking over my shoulder.
Oh yeah, Mikey, watch out. This
Nicole
is going to be Lily Gladstone thinks she's got it, and then
here comes Nicole Kidman.
Here comes the establishment.
That'd be great.
Just stomp your dreams into two.
Now, Mikey, you're my girl.
I want to say though to AMC theaters, okay, and this is Carson. If you think this is clippable, clip this. I'll leave it up to you. This is a message to AMC theaters. I have been very critical about the Nicole Kidman promo that runs in front of AMC movies and has been running in front of them ad infinitum since the fucking quarantine. Okay, we get it. We've seen the ads so many times now. Everyone can quote it. Everyone thinks it's camp. It's not camp. It's silly. And it'd be fine if we just all sat there and looked at our phones until the movie started. But when people started reciting the lines and standing up and saluting and applauding, it's like everybody. This is because there's an emptiness in your life. This ain't it, baby. You're not seeing what you think you're seeing. This is just an ad for AMC. This is not camp. Okay. However, so up until this point, I've been in favor of just getting rid of that dumb promo, moving on to something else. Now is the time for the promo, because when I go to see Baby Girl, when I go to see Nicole Kidman's big S&M Freakathon, you better play that fucking AMC promo in front of it. I better see Nicole Kidman walking into an AMC, sitting down, and then I watch Baby Girl. You better play it. Do not ditch it now. Do not get rid of it now. You better play that freaking Nicole Kidman AMC promo before Baby Girl. I don't know if there's plans to discontinue it, but I feel like maybe there's we shouldn't. There's definitely a memo. There's an email circulating at AMC right now that no one wants to respond to, where someone is like, "Hey, do you think maybe we shouldn't run the Nicole Kidman promo in front of Baby Girl?"
Not only should you run it, but in Q1 instead of Avatar 2, I want to see Baby Girl. So Nicole Kidman's going to the AMC. She's watching Baby Girl.
And at number 10, the second movie that I had not heard of, but man, this thing sounds good. I really want to watch it. Viet An Nam, directed by Truong Min Khoi, starring Tia. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be able to pronounce these names. Look up Viet An Nam online. Don't listen to my dumbass who can't pronounce stuff. This movie sounds and looks amazing. It's about two coal miners who are lovers dreaming of a better life by escaping their lives until a doomed future parts them. Have you heard of a better log line in your life? This thing sounds amazing. Amazing. And John Waters had a very funny line in his top 10 where he was like, this was he's basically saying like, this was my like auteur spot in the list. I was giving this to like an auteur, and he says like, sorry, Almodovar, Sean Baker, and Guy Madden, but this is my like auteur pick for the year. I really love that.
Well, you gotta
love that.
He shouts out his guys. That's nice.
I love that. And he does. It's also he's like they'll get it. They'll understand.
Yeah, Nora was good. You don't need it on my top 10.
Exactly.
List.
You don't need it on my top 10. So I love this. I'm sorry I can't pronounce the names of the lead actors, but this thing sounds amazing. I don't know how to see it. I don't know when we're going to be able to see it, but at some point in the future we will
John
be
Waters
able.
has a copy. Go over his
John!
house.
Put it online. Leak it on Vimeo, baby. Let's watch Vietnam. No, let's pay for it when it comes into your local art house theater, which hopefully it will soon. Vietnam. Joe?
Yeah.
That's John Waters' top 10 list. That's his opinions. But we're here to give our opinions on movies.
But for real, though, what are our opinions?
What are our opinions? Well, you're going to find out this week on Movies, baby, because, oh my God, between the two of us, we watch so many freaking award season movies. They're coming out of our ears right now, Joe. We're going to review them. We literally are going to review 12 movies on this show. We're going to try.
They're going to be spirited affairs.
Oh, big spirited reviews. What? And we got to do this, Joe. We got to do this because this is our last episode of 2024. Can you believe it?
No.
So we got to squeeze in all of our as many award season reviews as we can because we got to get these people prepped for their holidays. Because what are the holidays about? Spending time with your family, sure, exchanging gifts, all that. Watching award season movies, catching up on the movies of the year. That's what the holiday season is about. So we're going to get you ready. We're going to tell you what to check out, what not to sleep on, what to skip, in our humble opinion, and then you can decide for yourselves. We're also going to talk Golden Globes nominations. Those came out. And in the second half of the show for Patreon subscribers only, it's our last weekend at Bergman's of the year. With Nell and I versus Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Oh my God. Bros going on journeys. And you're not going to want to miss that.
And we're the bros going to go on a journey.
We're going to go on a journey of our own, trying to figure out which movie is better and which movie we can never see again for the rest of our lives. Right. Joe, are you ready?
Oh, born ready.
Mario, roll that theme song. Here we go. Oh, maybe a little extra tonight. Last one of 2024. What do you say?
Yeah, really put some stank on.
Here we go. I can't get enough movies, baby. I can't get enough movies, baby. But how about you? Do you have it bad too?
Yep.
I think that you do.
Yep.
Whenever one ends, it's like the death of a friend. I get to wishing that there were 2 more reels. And then a voice cries out, "Move, baby! You're in my seat and you don't want to mess with who? The Philly movie freak!" There he is. Oh, look at that freak. That's freaky as baby girl.
I can't get enough movies, baby. I can't get enough movies, baby. Yes, it's true.
It's true. You can't.
Oh, I've got it bad too.
He's sick.
Every night of the year, like the moon, I appear at all the movie theaters all over town.
Even the Lemley Glendale.
Cut to black. Roll credits. Whoa, baby, I'm lost in a fog. I need someone to talk to.
Hi.
Look, the Georgia movie dog. Dog.
I can't get enough movies, baby.
I can't get enough movies, baby.
I can't get enough movies, baby.
Welcome to Movies Baby, the weekly show where we break down the hottest movie news, review the latest releases, shout out forgotten classics, and prophesy the future of our dear Hollywood. I am Joe Cilio, or as you might know me, the Philly movie freak. Here as always with Brett Boehm, a.k.a. the Georgia movie dog.
Go Dogs! SEC champs, baby! And we're down to our backup quarterback for the playoffs, but that's Georgia football, baby. That's why you love it. But we're not here to talk college football, unlike Timothy Chalamet.
Yep.
This past weekend on College Game Day. Who knew Chalamet was such a college football head?
Breaking it down on game day, calling the shots, making everyone else on the dais look like a fool.
I was impressed, even though he picked Texas over Georgia. Sorry, Timmy. Sorry, Matthew McConaughey. Dogs! But we're here to talk movies, baby.
Right.
And before we get to the money, which is where we always start, I do want to remind everyone that we are currently in the middle of a month-long event, a very special event, second only to Christmas in terms of its significance this month. Midlife Crisis Fest 8. Midlife Crisis Fest 8. This is our YouTube subscription drive. It costs you nothing but a little bit of time. And all you have to do to participate is subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's right. This sounds complicated. We're literally just asking people to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is at youtube.com/@moviesbaby with 5 Ys. We are trying to get up, by the end of December, we are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can monetize that page, so we can pay for all this shit. Please help us do that. We announced this last week, Joe. We're at 900. Guess where we are now? 950, baby. We're halfway there. We're freaking halfway there. All right.
Wow.
So if you were just waiting, if you were said, you know what, everybody else will probably do this. Everybody else will vote for the right person. I'll vote in the next election.
Oh, look, and
Vote in this election.
The president.
Vote in this election. Yes.
And Trump's.
Thank you.
We're doing Trump again.
So don't make the same mistake twice. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get us up to 1,000. Because next year, baby, it's all about the money. It's all about the money so we can pay for this show. And it starts with you subscribing to our YouTube channel. And in return, you're going to get fun stuff. We put clips of the show up over there. We put our reviews up. We put things that are only on the YouTube channel. So there's some top 10 lists over there, some lists that are only on YouTube or nowhere else, okay? And while we're talking about the future of movies, baby, which is looking so bright, Joe, so bright, that it might as well have been directed by that creep Max Landis. First of all, we got some announcements. We have some announcements. As we mentioned before, this is the last Movies Baby episode of 2024. We're going to be off until the second full week of January. What we say that was? January 13th?
Yep.
Monday? Wait, what?
No.
Monday.
Wait, you just said Monday, January 13th.
Monday, January 13th, but this show is normally on Thursdays, Joe. I forgot. That's the other announcement that I have to make, is that starting next year, we are moving date and time. We're like one of those sitcoms that kind of got hot, you know? And they're like, oh, we got to put them in a better time slot. So next year, we're going to be doing our Movies Baby live streams on Monday mornings.
What?
Probably at 10 a.m. Stay tuned for an exact time. Probably 10 a.m. because we want to be competing with the sports talk shows and the drive time shows. We want to be your Monday morning armchair quarterbacks walking you through what happened over the weekend with the box office, with the new movies. We're just feeling a little... Like on Thursdays, everyone's had their takes already. You already know all the stuff. We want to be first, baby. First at the spigot on Monday morning, okay?
That's right.
Right at the water cooler. Right at the water cooler. Saying, did you see Nosferatu this weekend?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, right?
What did you think of Wolfman?
What did you think of Wolfman? Did you see the box office on Wolfman? Not bad for an R-rated horror, right? Right?
That's going to be us.
That's going to be us. Monday mornings. 10 a.m. Monday mornings.
See you there.
Thank you. And thank you very much. I want to say thank you to everyone who supported us in 2024. This is the first year we were doing the show. Not even a full year. We started this in March around the time of the Oscars.
Damn.
You guys supported us so fervently this year, so passionately, and we're so appreciative of that. Thank you to everyone who signed up for our Patreon. Thank you to everyone who commented on a post that we made. Thank you to everyone who subscribed to the podcast. Thank you to everyone who told a friend. You got to check out these idiots on this movie show. They have the craziest opinions.
And thanks to Margot and thanks to Carson.
Thank you, of course, to Margot and Carson holding it down, our team.
Always.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. But this is just Act 1, baby. This is 1.0. I cannot wait for 2025. We got some very exciting things planned for movies, baby. In addition to the time change, we're going to level this shit up, baby, and you are not going to want to miss it. And you're going to be able to say, I was on board from the beginning. What everyone always wants to say. Oh, movies, baby? You just found out about that? I've been listening since the beginning. I knew about that already.
I already knew about that. Stop talking. I already knew about that.
I already knew about that. So make sure you're on this train now.
So you can say that.
Because it has left the station and it's about to hit dangerous speeds. Like, uh-oh, the Excella, like, is somebody driving the Excella or is it like literally out of control? That's where this train is going, and you're going to want to be on it when it does. Okay. And even though we're off for a couple weeks, we are going to be putting some fun stuff up on the Patreon over the break because we love our Patreon subscribers. We're going to be putting up some like fun end of year lists over there. Who knows? Joe might give you his like first take reaction of Nosferatu coming out of the theater.
I think I'll be doing some coming out of the theater, sitting in my cars and just kind of talking shop. I mean, about everything. I mean, Nosferatu.
You should climb in because they got that replica. They got that replica casket up there at AMC City Walk.
Maybe I'll be doing
baby,
do
your Nosferatu review.
I think I'll just be shooting from the hip all winter. Join us, and I'm not joking.
Only on the Patreon, baby.
Just unfiltered, unvarnished me post Nosferatu, just kind of mumbling. Christmas Day, like
just drunk on eggnog.
Scary.
So many rats. So if you can, please stay subscribed to our Patreon over the break. I know we're going on break, but we're gonna keep that Patreon stocked, okay? Right. We don't leave the mini fridge unstocked. We keep that fridge stocked, baby. Speaking of keeping it stocked, Margot, show me the money. Here we go. Okay. This is the last weekend's box office returns. We got some familiar faces, some new releases here. Let's just go down the list here because the first thing is Moana 2 and Wicked continue their domination. They continue their November Rain. You've heard the song November Rain. This is a November Rain spelled differently for Moana 2 and Wicked. Moana 2, Joe, is up to 600 million worldwide after 2 weeks.
Just a good job. If your job's to make money making movies, you did a good job.
What a funny like juncture of movie history that the only thing you can depend on is that people love cartoons. That's the only true fact about the box office this year. It's the 5th biggest movie of the year after 2 weeks. It will continue that rise. Hard to know if it can catch Inside Out 2. That's a pretty high bar, but we're looking at...
It'd have to like double.
Yes. So we're looking at like, it would have to triple. It would have to triple from here. Wow. Yeah, Inside Out 2 is up to like what, 1.6, 1.7 billion. So Moana 2 is still got some room, but it'll end up in at least the top 3 for the year. Wicked is up to 460 million worldwide, making it the 9th biggest movie of the year after only 3 weeks. The interesting thing that continues about Wicked, though, it's the 4th biggest movie of the year domestically. 4th biggest movie of the year domestically already. But those international numbers have just been slow, like really slow. And so that's keeping it from being this sort of overall global smash hit. I mean, look, it's going to end the year in the top 10. That's a massive success for a movie it'll be the only non-sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, almost... would you consider Mufasa a sequel? I guess it's a sequel to Lion King, right?
Yeah, a prequel.
So assuming
I'd consider it a prequel.
Yeah, a prequel. There we go. So assuming Mufasa. Oh, it is a prequel. It's literally a prequel, right?
I think so.
It's like Mufasa's childhood and Scar's childhood.
Yeah,
Okay,
Mufasa and Scar were friends.
Okay. So it's Lion King, just like a generation before. Basically, it's probably the same story.
It's
great.
A sequel,
Can't wait
for all intents and purposes.
But even that, Wicked will be the only non-prequel sequel franchise movie then in the top 10, most likely at the end of the year. Wow.
Amazing.
Unless Nosferatu goes on some wild fucking
But it won't have it won't even have 2 weeks to do it.
It won't even be on enough
in
screens.
The 2024
too.
frame.
Yeah.
I suppose.
And they do. I've read that they do they count if you release in 2024, they count the whole thing, but it's just not gonna be enough screens either. Yeah, it won't do that. So congrats to Wicked and congrats to Moana 2. Now, in terms of new releases, this is usually a pretty sleepy weekend, the weekend after Thanksgiving. But last year we had a surprise hit on this weekend. This was the weekend that Godzilla -1 came out and ended up making $116 million on a $15 budget and earning the second slot in my top 10 movies of the year. Love Godzilla -1. So going into this year, I was reading that studios were a little more active because everyone's trying to find, of course, what is our Godzilla -1? What is our... So you see this weekend a lot of genre movies, movies with specific audience demographics. A lot of people trying to find a little angle they can ride to get maybe we can do another Godzilla -1, but it's just not going to happen this year. The biggest new release of the week, though, was actually a Tollywood movie, not Bollywood, Tollywood, which is a movie made in India, but in a different language. You can follow up on the specifics of that, but Tollywood, and it's called Pushpa: The Rule Part 2, baby, and it had the biggest new release opening of the week. Pretty good, making $9.3 million in America. It's
fucking amazing.
Fucking awesome. Yeah, it's pretty great.
$7,500 per screen average on 1,200 screens for almost $10 million. That's fucking long legs.
That's yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. And speaking of trying to find your Godzilla -1, I believe that the distributors of Indian movies have been trying to find their RRR now, and it's not quite making that. That was the sort of breakout action hit of a couple years ago. But this is pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. And it's beating out, all the American new releases of the week. So good job to Pushpa: The Rule Part 2. You had the biggest American movie a new American movie of the week was the Interstellar re-release, the Interstellar anniversary re-release, which just made just a cool $4.6 million.
Just for fun.
For fun.
They ran Interstellar on 165 screens this weekend. Everybody and their mother went, and it just randomly made $5 million. Wow. It's a trend we've been seeing all year, and we're going to see it again. Over and over again.
Now we had a Sony Crunchyroll anime movie coming in at 7, Solo Leveling, Reawakening.
All year.
Yes.
This isn't, all year. The anime audience is humongous.
Huge.
And powerful.
Yep. Also a big audience this year and a big demographic is the old Faith and Family audience. And they got what they love, which is something called For King and Country, A Drummer Boy's Christmas, Joe.
Dash live.
For King, it's live. This was a Fathom event, right? This is a live Christian musical experience around Christmas that you could go watch in a movie theater.
Sounds good.
It made $2.2 million. Now, the movie that I feel like was most heavily marketed out of all the new releases, Y2K, A24's Y2K, unfortunately did pretty poorly based on expectations or based on hopes, probably, making only $2.1 million, despite being wide released in over 2,000 theaters.
Well, look, you can spend money marketing, but you can't just spend money to buy engaged, long-term, hungry audiences. And comedy, Y2K is an A24 comedy, directed by Kyle Mooney, starring Rachel Zegler, that came out this weekend. Comedy is so big and so fractured that when A24 goes out to target comedy fans to watch this movie, they might have trouble finding it. When Crunchyroll goes looking for Solo Leveling Reawakening fans, when the Christians go look for fans to go see King and Country, and when Pushpa: The Rule comes out, those distributors have absolutely no trouble knowing exactly who they're going to target.
Yeah, it's called their like email list they already have. It's called their newsletter.
Exactly. So
they already have those audiences ready to go.
1,000,000%. They're just sitting there waiting, and they have to market just to them on platforms that they probably own or have access to on the cheap. And that's how, this Fathom event can gin up $2.2 million. Meanwhile, A24's looking over, looking at themselves in the mirror going, how did we do this with the 2.1 on Y2K? Yeah. I guess go find comedy fans. We work in comedy. Comedy's like the #1 genre of podcasts. It's like, but the audience knows like what's a comedy podcast? It's like, well, Joe Rogan's a comedy podcast. This is a comedy podcast. A show where they're doing improv is a comedy podcast. That's 3 completely different audiences. Yeah. It's very, very hard to guess which collection of comedy viewers are going to enjoy Y2K. Now, I have some guesses. Either they're Kyle Mooney fans, they grew up in the 90s, or C, they're Zegler fans. And I guess they just didn't do a good enough making inroads with those fan bases or groups.
And I mean, we've talked about A24's awkward transition phase this year, where they are trying to scale, they are trying to level up, they are trying to become, I think, bigger than just this sort of niche hipster indie distributor, and that's had varying results. I mean, they had Civil War was a success for them earlier in the year, which they spent a lot more money on. Y2K they only spent $15 million on, which I guess is the kind of silver lining, is that the losses will be minimized by the small budget. I don't think this thing gets into profit, but at least the losses will probably be minimized. But we also don't think of A24, historically as a comedy brand. And so I don't think, like you're saying, it's not an audience that they already have at their disposal. It's not like, hey, you love these other 4 A24 comedies? Well, here's the next one. Right. This is kind of a new thing for them. But this is this awkward phase where they're trying to sort of get a little broader while still maintaining their brand, and that is a tough thing to do. Yeah. You're the hot young thing, now you want to get a little broader so you make more money so you can grow the company, but getting broader means getting less cool. So how do you do that?
And it means that you just have less experience distributing this type of content, right? Like exactly like Brett's saying, like you know how to put the lighthouse out, like all the email lists and all the podcasts and all the P&A to like buy in the world for your cool A24 thing. Comedy is a big unruly thing. And in the new media landscape, all fractionalized, it's harder and harder.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I do want to stomp and put my foot down on one talking point I saw this week around Y2K's kind of box office failure, which is I saw this headline that said Rachel Zegler's Y2K bombs following Snow White backlash, and this refers to, I don't know, people don't like the Snow White trailer that, the live action Snow White that Rachel
trailer was fine.
The trailer looks fine.
Trailer was fine, assholes.
The second thing is Y2K bombs because of Snow White trailer backlash.
No, it didn't.
Fuck off. What are you talking about? How are those two things correlated at all? Do you understand anything that Joe's talking about audiences, about how audiences work, about how movies have specific audiences? You think the people that give a shit about the Snow White live action trailer are going out to a theater to watch Y2K? No, of course they're fucking not. The two things are unrelated. You're just being a little asshole to Rachel Zegler. And I'm on record saying I'm not really a fan of Rachel Zegler. I still think she should be treated with dignity and as a human being and as a fucking movie star, which she is.
You always say that.
Right? This is what I always say.
Treat Rachel Zegler with the dignity of a human being.
I agree. This is my party line on Rachel Zegler.
I know.
So all you fuckers need to shut up. I'm sorry that you didn't get the Snow White trailer of your dreams, but you don't need to you don't need to constantly be bringing that up as though that's a correlation, because you're gonna create a fucking narrative that hurts this person's career. You're gonna turn bullshit into like, well, did you hear? It's probably about this. It's like it's gonna become one of those things in the ether the more you say it, because that's how internet discourse works. So stop that shit. Cut it out. It's not true or real. Don't make it true or real, losers.
The potential audience for Y2K, like the serious people that you could get, would be the people that would sympathize with Rachel Zegler's outspoken antics.
Exactly. Thank you. Anyway. If anything, the Snow White backlash should have helped Y2K.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it did. Maybe it would have done even worse.
Maybe it helped Y2K.
Here's a headline for you.
Zegler backlash.
A24's Y2K saved from complete disaster because of Snow White trailer.
Talented up-and-comer,
yes,
and her outspoken views on Palestine.
There we go.
Sorry. Now look, we're not done yet though. You didn't say number 11 yet.
Okay, I'm gonna call it Frank Grillo's Werewolves. Okay,
that's what I call
but
it.
the director is some like straight to video like guy. Yes, we'll get there. We're gonna talk about Werewolves today. Joe saw Werewolves. He didn't see.
Well,
it.
you said see all the award contenders.
I said see all the award season movies, and Joe went straight to Werewolves first. Werewolves is a campy horror movie with Frank Grillo, the great Frank Grillo from the Purge franchise. And I can't wait to see it myself. You saw it, and congrats to the Purge for making over $1 million opening weekend.
Werewolves.
Or the Werewolves
Congrats
for making
to the Werewolves.
over $1 million opening weekend. I mean,
honestly, lackluster.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, like 1,300 screens.
This was another
good.
Briarcliff.
Briarcliff, interesting.
Now, we love the weird good folks over at Briarcliff.
Keep your eye on Briarcliff. Weird little production company that's like sneaking in and grabbing stuff. They're the ones that put out The Apprentice when no one else wanted to put out The Apprentice, and now they're racking up the awards nominations.
They're savvy, forward-thinking distributors that get the job done. That being said, it looks like Briarcliff had problems connecting authentically with that horror audience. That Terrifier 3.
It looks easy, doesn't it? Don't it look easy?
Cineverse, it was easy for them because they own 30 streaming services.
They did the work.
They own the 8th biggest podcast network in the world.
They did
so
the
when
work.
you have those underlying new media assets, you can promote your content to the fans that they're supposed to be. Now, Briarcliff might have had a really good plan for Werewolves with all the organic media in the fucking world, and maybe they put a lot of money towards it as well. But what they don't have is a gigantic pile of free marketing available to them that directly connects them to the freaks that are going to love Frank Grillo's Werewolf.
That's right, like Joe.
Like me.
All right, that sums up the money for this week. We will check in. A lot of stuff's going to happen money-wise between now and our return in 2025. So we'll come back. I think on tap for our first episode of 2025 is a big old 2024 year in review box office.
What do we learn?
Because I've been keeping track.
Like
I've been writing all these like little like, is this a trend or is this just a sort of one? You know, so I've got a whole list of that. I got to go through all my notes. We're gonna break it down for you and tell you all the big things that happen in the 2024 box office that you need to know about when we come back in 2025. So look out for that. Let's talk Golden Globe nominations, Joe. They came out this week. They were interesting. There's a lot to talk about here, and of course, the Golden Globes are under new ownership now. I don't know if that affects the. I felt like the nominees were pretty good, and interesting this year. So I don't know if
you were worried about the College Football Playoff Commission and how their dealings would be fair.
It's literally run by Michigan's athletic director.
Stuff like questions, you say things like that, and then the results came out, and you were very happy with the results. They were a lot of fun.
Georgia 2 seed, baby.
A lot of fun. Same, I'd say, with our good friends over at the media that bought the Golden Globes, and now
it's now owned by the company that owns Variety, the Hollywood Reporter, all the trades, all the industry trades now own the award shows, which could lead to some insider trading.
But they own so much different media stuff that it all sort of works out to be a pretty good list.
Yeah, they're almost sort of loyal to everyone and so loyal to no one.
Right.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Okay. All right. Well, so far so good because I like these noms for the most part. Let's take a look. Let's start with the Best Picture noms, Margo, if we can, the Best Picture noms. All right. So for musical comedy, we got Anora, Challengers, Amelia Perez, A Real Pain, The Substance, and Wicked. I mean, just solid, like no surprises, but strong picks. No silly picks in here.
Well, you know, the classic Globes thing of like, is that a comedy? Is that a musical? But beyond that,
right. You know, that's just the limitation of your only category being drama or
Nora and A Real Pain. Like, funny parts. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like, why isn't Challengers drama?
Yeah, Challengers, why is that a comedy?
Because the boys are sort of quippy with each other.
Kiss?
The boys
Why is it?
You know, there is something musical to that threesome scene. There's a kind of musical quality.
I don't understand. All right,
and let's check the drama Best Picture out. We can go back to the Best Picture graphic. So for drama, we got The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown. Why isn't that that's musical? It's about Bob Dylan.
That's right. And he sings all and performs all the songs.
Whatever. Okay, I don't give a
shit. Who
cares? Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nickel Boys, which we haven't seen yet, and September 5, which I watched this last week.
Yep.
Again, solid. You know, you get a
solid
box office movie in there. You get like the best looking box office movie of the year in there, Dune Part 2. So you're keeping the money happy.
Good smattering.
But some smaller movies in there. I mean, no surprises. I guess my only complaint is like you almost rely on the Globes for like some like head scratchers, some kind of like what
something crazy.
Yeah, and both of those are just kind of right and predictable.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
No, I mean, like best picture wise, not really any snubs, not really any surprises.
What about the acting? Anything kooky in the acting?
Let's look at. Let's start with actress if we can. If we can start with best actress. Best female actor. So music comedy, we got Amy Adams in Nightbitch, which you saw this week. Cynthia Erivo in Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon, Amelia Perez, Mikey Masson, Nora Demi, More the Substance, Zendaya challengers.
I mean, look, there's stars, but surprises. Like, Demi's been really, really pushing to make sure she's part of the nominations for the Oscars, and this is really good news for her. I didn't know they were making this Zendaya challengers push. Maybe it's just this is the Globes. We need Zendaya to come. And then Amy Adams is like the ultimate, like, the good people at Annapurna and Disney called, the guy that owns the Globes and said, Amy's going to get nominated.
Right?
Did you hear me?
Yeah.
I said, Amy's going to get nominated. Oh, yes, sir.
She did the work. She gets the
She was in the movie.
She was in the movie. She came every day and filmed every scene.
She said all of the lines. She said most of the lines.
She read most of the script. She gets the nom.
And she did.
And she did. So congrats to Amy.
Best female actor, which, look, we're not going to talk about the semantics.
Yeah. They're trying. The industry is trying
because I know I too enjoy calling women that are actors, but now that I'm looking at it on this screen, I'm like, it's just clunky. Best actress. Old habits die hard.
Whatever.
Best female actor, motion picture drama.
Pamela Anderson, Last Showgirl, love it. Glad that because the worry I think is maybe that movie's just too small. Not enough people are going to see it. But
guess who's going to love it?
Freaking Pamela Anderson,
of course.
baby.
I'm going to love it. Yeah.
Oh, you guys, look, you cannot. Y'all went gaga for Mickey Rooney the Wrestler.
Yeah, same thing.
You cannot not go gaga for Pamela Anderson, Last Showgirl.
It looks like we're about to.
Same thing, but better.
Did Mickey win the best actor?
He did, right?
Well, then I want to see Pam. No, he did.
He was the front runner.
Or maybe he lost real quick to something crazy. I love the Oscars.
I almost feel like he lost at the last second. Did he lose at the last second, people? For Mickey Rourke and the Wrestler, we should know
we got
this.
Pamela Anderson, Last Showgirl.
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie for Maria. Nicole Kidman, the proverbial baby girl, I assume. Tilda Swinton for The Room Next Door. Zilch.
Nomination, not win.
Zilch on this Room Next Door as far as award season goes. Talk about everyone sort of just skipping it.
Sean Penn for Milk won that year over Mickey Rourke. Sorry,
that's
really funny.
Sean Penn is he is always in the mix, and I don't know how he's allowed. Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here.
Can't wait to see that. Can't wait to see that.
Or Fernanda Torres, pardon me, and then Kate Winslet for Lee.
I want you to take everything you just said about Amy Adams, which is actually probably not true about Amy Adams. Nightbitch. It is okay. It is 100% true for Kate Winslet getting a nomination for Lee. That is like. Kate Winslet's in a movie this year. Reserve a spot for her in the Golden Globes.
Fair enough.
Because, oh my God, was Lee forgettable. And her performance, while it was good because it's Kate Winslet, was not one of the top 5 or 10 performances of the year. Give me a break. Give me a break with that. But congrats to Kate's PR team. Congrats to whoever had to get paid off to get Kate a nomination for Lee.
She deserves to get nominated for the movie that's bad. She's that good at acting. She's Meryl Streep level good. Kate Winslet's, I mean, honestly, like...
who got left off?
The evolution...
you know who got fucking left off? Can we see that again? You know who got fucking left off? A movie we have not seen yet, but I've seen enough. I've seen the freaking trailer, and I've heard everything, and it was on John Waters. Who is not in the drama category?
Mike Lee.
No, is the actor in Hard Truths. I'm talking about Marion. Oh, that's what you just said, Mike Lee. Sorry, Marianne Jean-Baptiste. Marianne Jean-Baptiste is not over there. Kate Winslet stole Marianne Jean-Baptiste's spot in the Golden Globe noms. I hope the Oscars don't make the same mistake.
You didn't see it yet. Maybe
what a
Kate Winslet was a little bit better in Lee.
But I have seen Lee,
She's
Joe.
A little bit better.
But I have seen Lee. Okay,
I don't know.
And John Waters saw Hard Truths and he put
loved
it in his
it.
top 5. Okay. All right, let's look at Best Actor if we can. Best Actor.
Best Male Actor.
All right. Now they're starting to have some fun. Best Male Actor. Now they're starting to have some fun. For musical comedy, we got Jesse Eisenberg in A Real Pain. Love it. Hugh Grant in Heretic. Maybe their funniest pick. Definitely. And I love. A couple weeks ago told you that Hugh Grant was my favorite movie star of all time and gave you my top 10. I love Hugh Grant. This is
why the Golden Globes isn't important. This is why the Golden Globes is stupid.
Hugh Grant just sort of walking around his little house in his sweater talking about religion.
Heretic. It's a horror movie. It's not a musical. It's not a comedy.
It's neither.
It's not one of the best male acting performances of the year. I do love Hugh Grant. And I like Heretic.
Gabriel LaBelle, Sammy Fableman playing Lorne Michaels in Saturday Night. Let's do it, baby. This is the only nomination that Saturday Night's going to get during awards season, and I'm glad it went to Gabriel LaBelle because he crushes his Lorne Michaels.
Weird.
That's really funny.
It is.
It's so funny, like people thought to vote for him.
Yeah, like good job in the movie. That's not really my problem. It's just it's so crazy.
Are you like looking at a list of all the movies though? Like, what did you like? Did you?
Yeah. What about all the other?
How many did you just not like? How do you do this? Because when I do a list, I go through and I look at all the movies that came out during that year, and I go through and I make little notes about these. I like this, and I like that, but I like this, and like, oh, I got to see that one. How do you go like you don't do all that work and then nominate Gabriel LaBelle as Lorne Michaels? So I'm wondering like how do people just must have they just are loyalists. They have their little
if you're looking at the list of musicals / comedy, which is just like some horror movies, some dramas, like a comedy or two. I guess there's just not that many good performances, or like the performances aren't as deep. Like the bench isn't as deep with those drama, So when you're in the comedy, it always gets a little silly.
Okay,
I wonder.
There has to be some explanation for Hugh and Gabriel LaBelle getting nominations here. Let's see what else. Let's see what else we got here. We've got Jesse Plemons kind of interesting because that movie came out so long ago.
It was an amazing performance.
I know. I'm not a fan of the movie. He was phenomenal. You can't argue with that.
So good.
I mean, it's one of the best performances of the year.
He's so good in that movie.
So look, I'm glad. And you know what else I'm glad about? My guy Glenn Powell getting nominated for Hitman. Glenn's going to the Globes.
You love to see it.
From now on, we can say Golden Globe nominated actor Glenn Powell, baby. I love it. I love it. Even though he went to that Texas game and rooted for Texas against Georgia, but that's okay. And then Sebastian Stan for A Different Man. One of 2 Sebastian Stan nominations.
Who do you think's taking that home? The Golden Globe for Best Male Actor.
This is a good question.
Like, here's people that won't be nominated for an Oscar: Hugh Grant, Gabriel LaBelle, Jesse Plemons, Glenn Powell, Sebastian Stan. So like only Jesse Eisenberg has a chance to get nominated for this Oscar.
So because of that, because here's the thing. Eisenberg is simultaneously, I think, the front runner on this list, just in terms of the quality of the performance, and he's the outlier in terms of how wacky this list is otherwise. So does the wackiness of the list mean the winner is going to be like one of the wacky ones?
Maybe they wise up and just give it to Powell. They just wise up.
Can you imagine Powell just strutting up and getting his
Golden
Globe?
Oh, it'd be so great.
Thanking his dog or some shit.
He shouldn't win an award for that movie, but it was fun enough, and he's great.
I'm gonna say Powell. I like Powell. I think Powell weirdly is.
Powell wins. Okay, Best Male Actor,
and that is a comedy. That's a comedy.
No, that counts.
Yeah,
and Kinds of Kindness too counts.
Yes,
as a comedy.
Now for drama: Adrian Brody in The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet in A Complete Unknown, Daniel Craig in Queer, Coleman Domingo in Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes in Conclave, Sebastian Stan in The Apprentice. 2 noms for Sebastian Stan. I gotta say, first of all, I love that Hollywood got over its weird nervousness around The Apprentice, and we're seeing this thing pop up maybe as a reactionary thing, because some people heard like, oh wait, no, we're not ashamed of The Apprentice, we will stand up to this man, to Trump, and we will nominate The Apprentice. Maybe there's like a backlash to the backlash going on right now, because The Apprentice is all over these awards season nominations right now.
Not that many, no surprises though. That list is straight as an arrow.
These are the heavy. This is probably your minus Sebastian Stan. The Apprentice is probably your Oscars Best Actor nominees right here.
Why not?
I'm gonna say Coleman Domingo takes this. I'm
gonna say, this is the Adrian Brody's year. It's round number 2 for Brody. He's gonna win Best Actor.
Really? Because I'm like, The Brutalist is like hanging out in the background of awards season right now. It has not come to the forefront.
Comes out next week. Then we'll see.
Okay. All right. We'll see. Waters loved it. Waters had it at what? 3?
3.
All right. Let's look at supporting. So they don't do the genre split up. So there's just male actor, female actor. Male actor, we got Yura Borisov and Anora, Kieran Culkin in Real Pain, Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce, The Brutalist, Jeremy Strong, The Apprentice, Denzel Washington, Gladiator 2. Male supporting actor is the most like set of all the categories. We keep seeing this crew over and over and over again, and there's no reason to argue with any of them. It's locked in, and then I think within
guy from the guy from Sing Sing's not on there, and I think he's going to push
Clarence Macklin.
Clarence Macklin's going to make a push, though. That's
Yes.
the one.
He's the
name
one outlier
that I'm surprised isn't up there. And Edward Norton is sort of the unfamiliar face.
And
out of this
I think
crew.
Jeremy Strong in The Apprentice is a very Globes nomination, might not be an Oscars nomination because of the sort of I love it. The performance is a little caricatured, his performance of Roy Cohn, but Roy Cohn himself was a caricature of himself, you know. So
it's a great performance.
It works, but it's a little bit of a caricatured performance. I wouldn't be surprised to see Clarence Macklin sneak in for an Oscar nom. I hope he does. But all that being said, this race is really coming down to Kieran versus Denzel, which is the head-to-head matchup we never saw coming.
We all wanted that.
We never saw coming, but I love it. Kieran versus Denzel. I think Denzel takes the Globe. Kieran takes the Oscar. Is my bet. That's my bet.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about Denzel getting the Oscar for Gladiator 2. It's like we already gave Denzel a supporting actor nom for a villain, Training Day. It almost feels like a little bit of a redux, whereas like Kieran's got so much juice right now. Coming out of Succession. Everyone seems to like working
Denzel
with him.
winning. I don't think Gladiator 2 was good enough.
Yeah.
It's like you can't be the MVP if your team's in 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like
and we
you
also
might have had an electric season. But
Gladiator 2 did not do well across the board. It did not do well across the board.
I think that might have faded his star a little bit.
Let's look at supporting again. Best female actor supporting: Selena Gomez, Ariana Grande, Felicity Jones, Margaret Qualley, Isabella Rossellini, and Zoe Saldana. Again, this list is pretty locked. These are the names we keep seeing. Man, who takes it though?
Ariana Grande.
I think, right?
Yeah. Ariana Grande is going to win Best Supporting Actress, I think, Brett.
Because I think the two Amelia Perez noms are going to split the Amelia Perez vote.
It
should be Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez.
I don't know if Selena's going to get the Oscar nom.
She'll get the nom.
And I think it'll be It'll be Ariana versus Zoe, but then Ariana's going to win.
Yeah. If the best thing that happened to Zoe Saldana is that Celia doesn't get an Oscar nom. Because if the Amelia Perez vote doesn't get split, then you have a shot. You have a real shot. Or you could equally argue that Selena and Ariana are splitting the Pop Girl vote.
I don't think Selena's going to get nominated for the Oscar.
Okay. Last but not least, let's look at Best Director. Best Director for the Golden Globes. And Joe, I got to pat us on the back here because
what we do?
We made a unpopular choice for our Oscar Power Rankings. We had Coralie Fargiat in the top 5 of our Oscar Best Director Power Rankings. We said The Substance is doing so well on streaming. It's got such good vibes online. People they're not gonna want Five Guys as Best Director nominations. And we said Coralie Fargiat probably has the best shot of being, a non-male nominee.
Yeah.
And look at this out of nowhere. This was not on Variety's Power Rankings. This was not on Hollywood Reporter's Power Rankings. It was on our Power Rankings, and now it's a Golden Globe nominee.
You only get that
for Coralie Fargiat. That's all you get.
You only get that kind of insight on this podcast
because we have guts.
Yeah.
Because we aren't like trying to please 8 different masters at the same time. Okay, we just speak the truth.
Yes.
And that's why we're right about things. I also got to say, Joe, this is thrilling to see Payal Kapadia on here. For All We Imagine Is Light.
This is bad news for all the other directors. Is that Payal Kapadia got the nom for the Golden Globe? Like, if Payal Kapadia has so much juice in this movie, which apparently
I saw it. I'm going to talk about it tonight. It fucking rocks.
Everyone says this movie's just
so
like
good.
The bee's knees.
It's so
if the Golden Globes have to go, okay, fine. John Chu, sorry, we have to honor Kapadia.
I love
like
that. This is the Globe.
You're nominated for the Oscar.
This is the Globe's masterstroke. If we can see that list again, Margo, this is the Globe's masterstroke this year. Is not giving Chu a nomination for Wicked, which would be silly, and just would have been like relenting to the masses or something. This is Payal Kapadia deserved this, and she got it, and I love that. I love that.
That kind of changes her Oscar outlook.
Yes,
that's kind of huge.
Yes, because now more people are gonna be like, oh shit, I gotta watch that movie now. I gotta watch that movie. Okay, this is not one of the ones I can pretend to watch. I got to actually watch it.
Right.
We also have Brady Corbett in The Brutalist, Edward Berger for Conclave, Sean Baker for Anora, and Jacques Audiard for Amelia Perez. We do not have a guy, again, Joe, the prophecies. The prophecies you get on the show. Who do we drop out of our Best Director Power Rankings? Do you remember?
Ridley Scott,
who is not on here. We knew it. We were reading the wins, baby.
Not on there.
We were reading the wins. We knew he was trending down, and here he is out of the. And honestly,
we know.
Fair. You want to give Ridley Scott his Oscar for Gladiator 2?
No.
You really need to give Ridley Scott an Oscar that bad?
No.
He's got to earn it. He's still got to earn it. I don't care, about the career. He's still got to earn it. He's still got to earn it. And Gladiator 2 ain't the one you want to give it to him for. No. All right. Well, that is the Golden Globe nominations. Also want to shout out. Shame not seeing Danielle Deadweiler on here for the piano lesson. I wonder if that movie's just not. I wonder if she's getting hurt by the movie, because the movie, the more I think about it, we gave it kind of a lackluster review. It's fine.
We liked it.
I wonder if that is the baggage that's sort of dragging her down, as the movie's not that great.
Nah, it's right. It's just no one's talking about the movie.
Also, big snub. Saoirse's not on here for Outrun or Blitz.
Yeah,
you gotta nominate her for one of those.
Yeah. It's a shame.
You got it. She gave 2 banger performances. You're not going to nominate her for one of them.
That's
I say the Outrun. Joe says the Blitz. And then as we get into our reviews here, the other big snub, Drew Starkey for Queer. Very hot choice, very popular choice, not showing up here either. Now, before we get to, and we'll kick off our reviews with Queer, we saw, and we're going to try to get through these quickly. We don't want to take your whole night up, okay, or your whole day up, or whenever you're listening to this or watching it. We watched, between the two of us, 12 award season movies this week, including Frank Grillo's Werewolves, which is awards eligible.
Yeah.
And we're going to review them. We're going to go through them. We're also going to premiere something that's never been done before in movie history. We wanted to come up with we needed a rating system. This whole time we haven't had a rating system. What are we doing, right? We need some way of sort of, we rated our fantasy movies. Why aren't we rating all the movies? Right. Okay. So starting tonight, we are going to be rating these movies according to 5 stars. Okay. And each additional star means the movie. That? 5 stars, great. Basically a perfect movie.
You're going to explain what that means now?
1 star, terrible movie. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So 5 is the best.
5 is the best.
1 is the worst.
The best movie ever gets 5 out of 5.
No. A lot of great movies get 5 out of 5. Great movies.
Amazing movies get 5 out of 5.
Amazing movies get 5 out of 5. Yeah. Really good movies, 4.5 out of 5. We can do halves. We can do decimal fractions. Okay.
Bad movie's gonna get a 1.
Can you do 0 stars?
Oh yeah, yes. Red 1.
Okay. All right, you can do 0 stars.
Red 1 got big fat 0.
Now, before we jump into the reviews, a quick disclaimer: while we do try to avoid any major plot spoilers in our reviews, it's impossible to give an honest review of these movies without talking about them in their entirety. These stinking movies. And so, if we're reviewing a movie that you don't want spoiled in the least, I don't want to hear anything about that movie. Well, then put us on mute. And then come back when we're talking about another movie. If you're watching the video, you can just look at the lower third. That tells you what we're reviewing. If you're listening, you can go down to the show notes and see the time codes as to when we're talking about which movie. But let's start off with Queer, Joe, the latest movie directed by Luca Guadagnino, his second movie of the year after Challengers, from a screenplay by Justin Kuritsky, based on the 1985 novella by William S. Burroughs. The DP on this was Sayambu Mukdipram, a Thai DP who was the DP on Uncle Boone Meek and Recall His Past Lives, baby. This dude's legit. Are you kidding me?
He's the DP of every fucking Luca movie.
Amazing. Oh, that's Luca's. That's Luca's.
Yeah, Call Me by Your Name, Challengers. We talk about this every time we talk about Luca.
Joe knows Luca. Joe knows his Luca.
We know about Mukdipram.
All right, okay. I'm just shouting him out. I didn't know he was Luca's go-to guy. That's right. He did DP Trap. Fuck
the Trap haters.
Set in 1950s Mexico City, this film follows an outcast American expat, Daniel Craig, who becomes infatuated with a younger man, Drew Starkey. We also got Jason Schwartzman here. We got Leslie Manville in here, okay? Joe, what'd you think about Queer?
What'd you think about Queer? What is that?
What, you want me to start?
I absolutely want you to start.
All right.
It's called The Plank, and you're going to walk it, buddy.
This is chess, baby. It ain't checkers. So I did tease my review of Queer to Joe earlier, and that's why he is setting me up for this, but I'm very confident in my opinion about Queer. It's just my opinion. It's just one person's opinion.
Let's hear it, Brett.
Here we go. I was very excited to see Queer, Joe.
I could
not wait. I was very excited. I am a big Daniel Craig fan, and not just the Bonds. I was watching his BBC shit before that. I loved Layer Cake. Okay, I'm with Daniel Craig all the way. I'm always rooting for Luca, whether you believe it or not. I do, in fact, want to like his movies. I would love to like his movies. But unfortunately for me, and I thought this was the one, Joe. I was telling you, I was like, this is going to be the Luca that gets me, Joe. This is it. This is my Luca. He's doing Burroughs in Mexico City. This is my Luca. But unfortunately, despite a couple high points, Queer did not do enough to dissuade me from the belief that Luca Guadagnino is a fraud as an artist. A fauteur, not an auteur, a fauteur who aspires towards visionary aesthetics, but never shows me anything that feels novel or revelatory. And the big asterisk here, I will say, Joe, the big asterisk, okay, and there is an asterisk, is there are sequences in this movie, like in Challengers, that are astounding. The ayahuasca trip comes to mind. Altered States did it first, but the ayahuasca trip comes to mind. But my problem with Luca is if your directing style amounts to, I'm going to throw all the shit at the wall, inevitably some of that shit's going to stick, baby. And some of it did stick here, but a lot of it slid down the wall and made a stinky mess at the bottom. Because Queer, as with most of Luca's movies, does not provide the satisfaction of a crafted work and instead feels like the product of a charismatic auteur who takes his genius for granted and has long since lost the ability to self-edit, if he ever had that ability.
Just say you hate gay people.
How dare you? Is it cool to watch Daniel Craig in his rumpled linen suit walk down the streets of Mexico City in slow motion while Nirvana's Come As You Are plays on the soundtrack? Yeah, it's cool, but it also doesn't amount to a whole lot. Queer is not pure cinema. One of my favorite classifications that I reserve for the real movies. Queer is not pure cinema because its various stylistic lunges never cohere into a single unified experience. Can we cut to Joe real quick? Similarly, this is the saddest part for me. I was not as impressed with Daniel Craig's performance as I had hoped. He is certainly doing a lot of acting in this movie, Joe. There's a lot of acting, a lot of APM, acting per minute, is happening in this movie, but the overall effect didn't move me as much as I had hoped. Now, a lot of that also has to do with Drew Starkey, who I found to be the weakest link in this movie.
Wrong, asshole.
He has the look.
How wrong can you be, man? Sorry, Brett. Please excuse me. I'm so sorry. You were in the middle of your
wrong with you.
I'm so sorry, dude.
There's movies I like too that you don't like.
So sorry. Go ahead. Man.
Now, look, Drew has the look. He has the look, but not the chops. And without a stronger performance in that role, the movie's themes of desire and longing, two of my favorite themes.
Oh, this is the worst review of all time.
Did not carry the same weight. Jason Schwartzman, however, is very good. I liked him. I don't think Queer is a bad movie, despite Joe's going to paint it that way. I don't think it's a bad movie. Okay. I think it's definitely worth seeing, and I'm not going to be surprised when it continues to get nominated for a bunch of awards. I just found it to be, like most of Luca's movies, overhyped and over-stylized and lacking in mastery and craft. Jesus. And specifically the kind of mastery you need to not get swallowed by this kind of maximalist aesthetic, which is an eye for nuance and subtlety amidst the maximalism and the patience to create tempo so that the movie's emotional gut punches are properly spaced and executed. Luca is not a visionary. He really isn't even all that naughty when it comes down to it. Luca is the Emerald Fennel of Paolo Sorrentino's, and he doesn't do it for me. Sorry. 3.5 out of 5. Joe, what'd you think of Queer?
Gosh, I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm coming back down to earth. I'm like seeing stars right now. But
you didn't make the movie, Joe. Like, you don't have to take this so personally.
No, okay. My review of Queer. No, Brett, I completely disagree.
Great.
I completely disagree. I actually feel more assured than ever that Luca is one of like the best living directors. He's so self-assured. I love him and his team, and I love the kinds of movies that he makes for him, and I love him for it. So let's talk about Queer specifically. Okay, first of all, cinematography. First of all, this team, Justin, the screenwriter, he wrote Challengers, Mukdeepram shot Challengers, Luca Challengers, Atticus Ross, and what's the other guy?
Trent Reznor.
That
I love that Trent Reznor is the other guy.
They're part of
yeah.
So they got the team back together. They did Challengers and they did Queer, and it was amazing watching both these movies, sort of bookending the year. When Challengers is like this spirited look at how fucking fun and scintillating and athletic and energetic it is to be gay in 2024. Just like gay, and it's amazing and it's fun. And it's like, oh my God, it's kooky, it's crazy. It's Challengers. Yeah, at the end they all make out and hug. It's great. And then Queer is like the yang to that yin, where it's like being gay wasn't not fun, not like in the very recent past. Being gay was actually very, very difficult. But this movie doesn't feel bad for itself at all. This movie is full of life. It's sometimes looked like an El Greco painting, and Sometimes it looks like
El
an
Greco
old,
rolling over in his grave right now. Just
roll,
the one
roll, bitch! You fucking homophobe El Greco, kill yourself,
just
dude.
like one shin bone and a bunch of goo just rolling over in its grave right now.
Sometimes it's like reminds you of like an El Greco painting with the Mexico City, like the way that the lights and the people are all there, very like beautiful. And then sometimes it'll remind you of sort of old, gorgeous Hollywood sets, almost sort of like zoetropy, almost reminding me of
One from the Heart.
One from the Heart, with how beautiful and movie-like some of the sets felt. His Mexico City that they create is both this sort of like gorgeous set and also this like gritty, lived-in sort of setting. Daniel Craig's performance is so good. First of all, like he looks so cool and good sometimes, and when he's sick and not looking good, he looks so bad and ill, and it is so like painful to watch him and his drug addiction and his guilt and his self-hatred and self-loathing like manifest on Craig. This guy, there's this one amazing shot where he like sets up heroin, shoots heroin, smokes cigarette, takes a drink, smokes cigarette, smokes weed, takes a cigarette, eats a pill, smokes cigarette. It's this very like long shot that ends act one. It's fucking amazing. Craig's doing 18,000 things with his face, and he's blowing smoke like the fucking like master. I could watch this motherfucker act all day long. I love Daniel Craig in this movie. The other performances are good too. Leslie Manville, so funny. She's and great. Kooky She's performance. Great. They make her this like weird hippie ayahuasca lady. It's very funny, and you don't see her like that often.
And just her like her maw, her like toothless mouth is amazing.
Jason Schwartzman. I always forget this guy's name.
Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah. Jason Schwartzman.
Max Fisher.
Yeah, of course. Jason Schwartzman has like almost never been funnier. They gave him the double whammy of gay best friend and a fat suit, and it is and it is really funny and awesome, and he fucking nails it. And then there's Drew Starkey. I mean, who is two things at once. He is this sort of like unattainably attracted, beautiful object for which William S. Burroughs' character Lee like obsesses over. But Drew Starkey's sort of stone face is being misinterpreted as bad acting in this movie. Drew Starkey's character is, despite going pretty far with Lee, literally traveling with him to South America, like he is not available for being open to his sexuality. Like, yes, he'll fuck guys, and yes, he'll go on trips with Lee, but he is not available for any of this, like emotionally, and that's why he is super duper distant. And even at the end, when Leslie Manville's like, you should stay and do ayahuasca more and go deeper and learn yourself more, he disappears into the jungle, and Daniel Craig never sees him again. And then it jumps ahead, spoiler alert for the end of Queer, and he is dying at the end as an old man, like 40, 50 years later in Mexico City in that same hotel room where he used to have these one-night stands, or where he used to sleep with Drew Starkey. And on his deathbed, he's still alone. He's still reviled because of his past and because of his sexuality. He has nobody. And in that moment, he remembers when Drew Starkey, draped his leg over Daniel Craig's leg when he was dying in South America from like a lack of like opioids and heroin and all of that. And it was this like one little piece of physical contact that was the best moment of this guy's life, because he wasn't allowed, to have any other kind of life. So anyway, thematically, I loved it. Performance-wise, I loved it. Visually, I loved it. The music, loved it. And Luca is still Luca, so it's still maximalist, but there's so much restraint in this one. It's very meandering, which is lovely, very like literary, and very deep and very beautiful. And I think it was one of the best movies of the year. I'm going to give Queer 4.5 stars.
4.5 out of 5. There you go. And for the record, I judged Drew Starkey on his line reads. I didn't like the line reads either. It wasn't just the aloof physicality. I liked that. But then he had to open his mouth, and he didn't know how to deliver a line.
It's amazing.
Let's talk about a really good movie, though. Really good movie. Because, look, I like Queer on paper like I like all Lucas films on paper. The problem is there are other actually good movies out there that I watch, and those that sets my standards in a certain way. Flow, Joe. I've been talking your damn ear off about Flow. I texted you. Oh my God. I texted you just like incomprehensible symbols I couldn't even verbalize after Flow. Flow is a movie that everyone's, I think, hopefully going to be talking about more because it's poised to be a potential upset in the Best Animated Picture category, not just at the Golden Globes where it got nominated, but also potentially at the Oscars because we've had so many big money-making animated movies this year: Inside Out 2, Moana 2, the new Despicable Me, Kung Fu Panda. We're going to have... what else? Sonic, does that qualify as an animated movie? I don't know. But wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if all those big billion-dollar movies coming out of Disney got beat by a Latvian animated movie made on an open source internet animated software? Wouldn't that be fucking awesome?
Yeah.
I hope it happens because Flow deserves it. Let me tell you about Flow if you haven't heard about Flow. It's a Latvian movie directed by Gins Zilbalotis, also written by him and Matīs Kaza. This movie has no dialogue, and like I said, it's completely rendered on open source software Blender. And it really looks like the best like student animation of all time. Like it has sort of, it's not going to have the gloss and sheen that you associate with a Disney or Pixar movie. The animation feels a little loose at the edges, but oh my God, is it gorgeous? Is it beautiful? Is it visionary? And if anything, I think having a slightly less like professionalism around the animation amped up the creativity and the beauty of it. I think the kind of like the slightly the roughness of the animation really works well. Now this movie tells the epic tale of a black cat who must fight to survive the flooded remnants of a majestic civilization. We don't know who lived here or what they did, but the flooded remnants of a majestic civilization. And this cat, homeward bound style, joins up with just an absolutely killer crew of other animals. We've got a Labrador retriever. We've got a capybara. We've got a big white bird. I think it might be a heron or something. We've got a little rascally ring-tailed lemur.
Whoa.
And together this crew sails through the ruins of a drowned planet that is now teeming with flora and fauna, which gives our animal crew a chance to survive, but also presents them with lots of predators and dangers they have to overcome. Joe, Flow fucking rocks. It fucking rocks. There are two movies this year that I could watch on loop for 12 hours straight, preferably with the assistance of a controlled substance.
Sure.
Aggro Drift, of course, would be one of them.
Of course.
Flow is the other one. And as you know, Aggro Drift was my favorite movie of the year at a point. It was number one, and your number one at our mid-year.
It sure was.
And then I recently said that Jesse Eisenberg's Real Pain
It's your best movie of the year.
was my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah.
Now, Joe, am I about to say this? Am I about to say this for real?
Really?
I think I am. It's how I feel, so I'm going to say it. Move over, A Real Pain, because as of this moment on my list, I can show you on my spreadsheet that I keep. My favorite movie I've seen this year so far is Flow. Flow is the real deal. Go see Flow. I was the only one at my screening. I was completely alone, which was a lot of fun for me, but it's not great for Flow. Everybody needs to go see Flow.
Wait,
Yes.
can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So there's no words.
No words.
How long is it?
Like
2 hours?
No, it's like an hour and a half.
Hour and a half. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there music?
There is scoring.
What's it
yes.
like?
There is scoring. It's like appropriate. I don't think the score was like
Yeah,
it was like the
all right.
score like I can't say like is like vivid in my mind.
Yeah, I'd be just like, was it
yeah.
like violins or was it
Yeah,
like 16-bit?
No. It's a pretty traditional
Just
score.
okay,
Yes,
cool,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Here's why I liked Flow so much. Also, like I honestly like didn't even think about the score. I'm trying to remember now.
The only reason I ask is
Yes.
because like if there's no dialogue, I just wonder what underpins
Right. What
the sort of.
I mean, there's a lot of natural sounds.
Okay.
The sound of there's
Sure,
a lot of water, rushing water.
Okay.
There's the birds. There's a lot of natural sounds. Honestly, Flow could like completely not have a score, and I totally made that up.
Okay.
I think it has like a light score to it. Okay,
So I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. No, this is an interesting question, but this is how good the animation is. Is
Yeah.
like I really wasn't. It wasn't like a movie that like the sound design really stuck with me, and I love good sound design, but it's just the animation is so overpowering.
That animation
and so
style
powerful.
stays consistent the whole entire time.
The whole time. Now here's what's great about Flow. First of all, it nailed better than I've ever seen. Nailed the actual mannerisms and behavior of a cat. Now, this is a very animated cat with a lot of personality, but it is not a cartoon cat. That you are watching a real fucking cat behave. Everything from the way it reacts to fear, to the way it reacts to predators, to like little things where like it'll just sort of like a cat will just like open their mouth halfway like this. And it's like, I think it's like maybe he's like smelling, or it's sort of an aggressive thing. I don't know, but it like does that. And then like the way like after a cat coughs up a hairball, sometimes it gets really like proud and kind of haughty and kind of marches off and leaves the hairball behind it. Like so many little moves that are just perfect. I've never felt like I was watching a real cat more than in Flow. It's unbelievable. And that goes for all the animals in the movie. They're all intelligent and intuitive and communicative, but never with like, it's always an intelligence that feels like real and achievable in the absence of humans. Like there's a total lack of anthropomorphism in this movie that is so refreshing, where you just feel like you're watching like how actual animals would band together and act. And of course it's sort of movied up a little bit, but like not that much. There's just such a sense of realism to the personalities of these animals that I absolutely loved. Second, the beauty and the wonder are off the charts. Do you like beauty and wonder? Well, good news, because Flow exists. You're going to love Flow. When this little cat wakes up, Joe, on this like rickety ass sailboat that they're all riding around the world to survive. And when this cat wakes up on the sailboat in the middle of the night and the fucking Aurora Borealis is going off overhead, and this cat like walks over to the mighty heron perched on the prow of the boat. And by the way, you're seeing all this like in silhouette. It's gorgeous. And they just like together like take in the northern lights for a second, these two animals. And again, there's like no anthropomorphism. It's like animal intelligence. Like you're seeing them just like, you don't know quite what they're thinking, but you know they're having an experience under the northern lights. And then the cat like curls up under the heron and goes to sleep. It's just the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in a movie. It's amazing. And I love that the human remains, the remains of the civilization. This was there's a couple surprising things. I knew a little bit about Flow going in. There's something that surprised me. The first thing was, I love that like the remains of civilization wasn't like the Statue of Liberty and the Eiffel Tower and like Planet of the Apes style, like, you know, like I don't know who lived on this planet, but it was like, it's like the remnants of civilization are like Minas Tirith. It's like from my Lord of the Rings head. It looks like a Lord of the Rings like elven city. Cool. Like these like gorgeous like high fantasy like ruins, and you're like, who are these people? And there's like massive like cat sculptures the size of like the Colossus of Rhodes like looming over like lakes, and you're like, who are these people? You never find out. You do get some interesting clues near the end that are interesting, but like you never really, it's not that kind of movie. It's just like, isn't this beautiful and wondrous is what the movie is constantly asking you. And the answer is yes, yes, and yes. It looks like almost like, it's like what they like go through is like, it's almost like the best screensaver you've ever seen. You know, like when a screensaver is a little like leans into fantasy scape a little bit. Imagine like best version of that. Okay. And this little like crew of animals like like floating through all of that. It's the best. Damn, Daniel. Now, third and most importantly, this is where the movie went from just great to so far my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Here's what happened, because I did a thing about halfway through that I'm sure you do sometimes, where I'm like looking around. There's nobody in the theater, but I'm looking around. I'm like, damn, like I really like Flow. Yeah, Flow fucking rocks. I was like, I don't want to jump the gun here.
Start panicking.
If Flow does like in the next like 30 minutes, if Flow makes like 2 killer moves, I'm gonna have no choice but to name this my best movie of the year. And Joe, Flow has like 2 or 3 killer moves in its back pocket that I did not see coming that are just astonishing. Astonishing. You think this is just some like some scrappy little cute animation about a cat. No, this is like the existential masterpiece of our time, Flow, okay? This movie has some fucking gut punches in its little tiny cat pouch that you are not going to see coming, and they're going to knock you flat on your dumb ass, and you're going to reevaluate everything, baby. That's why Flow fucking rocks. And I don't want to give away too much, but like I said, there's 2 scenes that absolutely crush me. The movie is both like natural and supernatural. It's so much about nature and animals, but it also leans into these like supernatural touches and magic that are fucking astonishing. It's also a movie that's deeply concerned with existential issues, but it also wants you to have a religious experience while you're watching it. It is the best of both worlds. And Joe, yes, indeed, it is pure fucking cinema. Go watch Flow. It'll test if you're actually dead inside or if you've just had a tired, exhausting year. Flow is a defibrillator to your fucking soul, people. Carson, I want you to Photoshop that onto the Flow poster. You can quote it from Movies Baby. A defibrillator to your soul, quote Movies Baby. Put it on the Flow poster, and you can use that Flow. 5 out of 5. Nightbitch. Joe, you saw Nightbitch. Written and directed by Marielle Heller, who directed that great Melissa McCarthy movie, Can You Ever Forgive Me? Also did the Tom Hanks Mr. Rogers movie. She acted in Queen's Gambit. She's doing a lot of cool stuff. She made Nightbitch with Amy Adams. Tell me about Nightbitch.
Mariel Heller is a great director, Brett. So why is Nightbitch the least directed film of the year?
Oh, no.
This thing has 10 masters. None of them know what to do. And it's like they all decided to just give up making it halfway through the movie. Adapted from a beloved book by Rachel Yoder, Nightbitch is the story of a woman who has a 3-year-old, and she had to sacrifice a lot in her career to raise the kid. Her husband is gone all week long, and so she gets frustrated like any parent of young children would, and she starts dwelling on her life and the problems with her life, and then she starts manifesting wolf-like, dog-like behavior. So it's like a werewolf sort of story mapped onto early motherhood. And do you see like how thematically rich that could potentially be for your movie?
Joe, when I heard about this log line, like in January, I was like, let's fucking go.
For your movie?
Let's fucking go.
Oh, good. It's a werewolf thing-ish with Amy Adams.
And it's called
Mariel
Nightbitch?
Heller, Nightbitch, and it's like a what do you call it? Like a metaphor for parenting or whatever.
Yeah.
Like easy peasy lemon
Sign my ass
squeezy.
up.
I got 700,000 different ways I could do something with this, but this is like thematically rich material that is just completely not taken advantage of. Like the script is toothless, the ending is bad, the metaphor doesn't work. It's sloppy, and like these different connections it thinks it's making, it's not making, it's shallow, it's dull. And Amy Adams, it makes her look like she lost a step, which I have no fucking interest in saying out loud, but really disappointed.
Honestly,
just like
we're just
the
saying
big miss.
we're just saying it because you
big miss of the
pulled
year.
that Golden Globes nomination out of your publicist's ass.
That's-
So we
that's
kind of have to say
offensive.
that it's not right. Yeah.
This movie
Yeah.
is a skip.
Yeah.
Oh, stars 2.
All right. Let's we're gonna keep going here. We gotta maybe pick the pace up a little bit. September 5. Everyone's saying September 5. I don't, maybe it was Variety. Somebody had it at number 1 in their Oscar Power Rankings for Best Picture.
Yeah.
September 5. This is a movie everyone's talking about. I finally got to look at this week. And this is a movie about the Munich Massacre, so-called Munich Massacre, the terrorist attack that happened during the 1972 Summer Olympics, in which 11 members of the Israeli Olympic team were held hostage and eventually killed by a Palestinian militant organization, Black September. It's like everybody knows that famous picture of the guy in the ski mask out on the balcony. Everyone knows that famous picture, and this movie makes a freaking meal out of that moment, as you can understand. So this movie is about ABC Sports coverage of this, because what happened was obviously no one saw this coming or expected that it was going to happen, and so ABC Sports was the closest news organization to the event, and this all happened like fast. This shit went down like over basically 24 hours. And so ABC Sports said, hey, don't give this to news. News is back in New York or wherever. We'll take this. We're on the ground here. So this team of sports journalists essentially were in charge of the coverage, the televised coverage. And this was the first, the movie also makes a big meal out of this. This was the first like live televised coverage of a quote unquote terrorist event. There's a part in the movie where they're like, they're trying to figure out what words to use, what semantics to use, and you realize that like terrorist is not like in the sort of like culture yet as a term, and somebody like tells them that's the right term. They're like, terrorist, okay, I guess we'll use terrorist. Like, so there's a lot of like, they do a lot of stuff around that. So this, basically it was like, a team of journalists that was there to cover swimming, and now they have to cover a terrorist hostage circumstance. So a very interesting premise for a movie. A great cast. Peter Sarsgaard and John Magaro are the leads. I love John Magaro, my guy. Also, there's a guy in this movie that I was like, who is that? I've seen that before. Ben Chaplin. Do you remember Ben Chaplin? Very like 90s actor. He was in Birthday Girl with Nicole Kidman. He was in The Truth About Cats and Dogs. Ben Chaplin here in a nice little performance. So September 5, what's the deal? Well, I had high hopes for this. I really like this genre, journalists confronting some massive historical moment. You're All the President's Men,
a great genre.
Spotlight. I love this genre. And maybe because of that, I was hoping for more here, and I was a little underwhelmed. September 5 is good, not great. That being said, I also sort of during the movie had to calibrate my expectations a little bit, because September 5 isn't a movie about like the triumphs of journalism. It's not about Woodward and Bernstein cracking the case. This movie is about the challenges of journalism, and particularly the challenges of live television production and all the things that can possibly go wrong. But even sort of calibrating
Saturday Night-esque.
Saturday Night-esque, very much so, yes. Even with my expectations calibrated, though, to that, you know, I'm going to take the movie for what it is. I'm not going to try to judge it on what it's not. And that's a very interesting premise. I just thought it was still a little bit of a letdown. Now, let me start with what's good about it, though. It's very good at capturing the dynamics of live televised sports. And you might say, who gives a shit? I was so into this. I've always thought that you watch live sports on television and it's so seamless. You just sort of watch it without thinking. You know how fucking hard it is to do live sports? How to like do televised live sports? You have 100 different camera angles and you're trying to like tell a story about the game and show like pain and defeat and victory and euphoria, and you're trying to do all these things
and ads
and do ads and keep and do all the dumb promos and cut to the guys in the booth and have the shot of the coach when you need the shot of the coach looking all frustrated. Like, that is fucking hard. And this movie does such a good job of showing the challenges and the sort of like genius of being the person who's directing all that, because you're literally like live directing the cameras. Peter Sarsgaard and John Magaro, his sort of like understudy, essentially, at various points they're the ones directing all the show, and they'll be like, you know, like pull camera 2 in, let's get tighter on camera 2, let's get tighter here, let's pull out there. So they're like, you're directing all the cameras that you're seeing all the views of, and you are live editing the thing. So you're directing cameras, you're live editing it, you're trying to do fucking montage like you're fucking Sergei Eisenstein. You're trying to create like, if I, you know, because I can't narrate everything. So some things are just going to have to, the images are going to have to speak on their own. And it's like, it really is. I've always thought that like the production of live sports is an art. And this movie really also makes that argument and shows you what goes into that. So that was great. The movie also looks incredible. From the lighting to the production design to the costumes, everything has this sort of vintage aesthetic. It looks sort of like 1970s TV. Like you feel like you're in the world of it. Now, where the movie disappoints is that it just like weirdly didn't have enough beats, not enough plot, not enough like twists and turns and crisis points and revelations, unexpected decisions, all the things that are essential to this genre, journalists confronting some big world event, and all the things that drive a movie through its middle section towards its climax. September 5 just didn't have enough in its bag for me. And this is a weird review. I was not expecting this to be my review, but it's just what I saw and what I was kind of let down by. And I think part of that is just the nature of this historical event. It's not something like Watergate, where there are all these people trying to actively conceal it. And so you have this amazing sort of like path set out for you narrative wise, where people are going to have to like find out things and discover things. And the revelations are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Same with Spotlight. Here, it's this thing that just sort of happens, and then it was kind of over before you know it. And so I do think there was the potential to find more beats in the middle of the movie. I think they could have come out of character. There was a tension between the characters, but I think that could have been pushed harder to create a sense of sort of like, I don't know, some backstabbing or betrayal or miscommunications or crossed lines or people at odds with each other. That maybe could have been built up more to find some more beats, but the movie just didn't have enough dramatic beats throughout its middle section, and it just got a little repetitive and a little sort of just a little, it was for a heavy topic, the whole thing ended up feeling like a little light. Was the problem, you know?
That happens a lot with
it does, right?
Hollywood pictures.
It does. So that being said, September 5 is really well made and really well acted. Really well acted. I don't want to take anything away from Sarsgaard or Magaro, who are fantastic in this. Sarsgaard in particular was very good. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
Wow, that's
4
good.
out of 5. It's still a solid review.
Good.
Solid review.
That's great.
As someone who loves this genre, yeah, like you could have pulled a 5 out of me for nothing for this genre.
Wow.
But 4 out of 5 for September 5.
Wow.
Sorry. Really quickly, Sing Sing. Now this is a movie also everyone's talking about awards season wise. For the movie itself, for Coleman Domingo's performance, for Clarence Macklin's performance. And this movie is based on a real life group, the Rehabilitation Through the Arts program that has been going on at Sing Sing Maximum Security Prison for a long time. And this is just a program that is inspiring to learn about, that has done amazing things. And essentially it is a theater group that is run by inmates, and they pick the plays that they're going to do, a lot of which they write themselves. They perform them, they do all the costumes, they do everything, and they put them on at Sing Sing Prison for their fellow inmates. And it's this, again, very inspiring story, very inspiring group. And what's amazing about the movie Sing Sing is it doesn't aim for a sort of like, even though it is, aiming for awards and angling for awards, it doesn't feel like an awards season movie because it doesn't put this sort of Hollywood shine on the story. A thing that they did that's amazing is Coleman Domingo is based on a real guy. He's playing a real guy. And there's another actor, Paul Raci, who is a professional actor. Everybody else in this movie are guys who were in the Rehabilitation Through the Arts program, are the actual guys who were at Sing Sing Prison, who went through this, who put on these plays. And it is like amazing to see. We're going to call them non-professional actors because that's the term. Like, they're professional actors. They're great actors. And they've been doing plays for quite a while, when they were in prison, starting when they were in prison. So like, I was blown away by their performances because it is just not the like normal, like sort of like they're not the type of actors you get from guys who just like were on a Disney Channel show and then decide to get edgy, and then it's like they've been on a different trajectory, and watching just like a different acting style is so fun and refreshing, and it's like wild and unpredictable, but it's very resonant. None of it feels like non-professional. These guys are fucking actors, and they kill in this movie. And the guy I think out of all of them who's getting the most credit, and deservedly so, is Clarence Macklin. Who plays a guy who is sort of like resistant to join the group at first. He's like the new guy joining the group, and he's a little resistant because, you have your image and your reputation. I'm doing a theater group in prison. There's a lot of things to consider. But he really leans into it. And there's this incredible device they do where Clarence Macklin is doing the to be or not to be speech. This play, by the way, they do. If you saw this play that they do at like off Broadway or like in Santa Monica, you would never stop talking about it. The plays that RTA puts on are fucking mind blowing. They're fucking, because again, they are not like coming through these normal channels of like theater majors or theater groups, or like, it is just blank slate. Let's put on a play. What are we going to do? And all of these guys bring their life experiences to it and their personalities to it. And they create these like truly unique, amazing plays. And at the end of the movie, they have real footage of the RTA plays that they show you, and they're fucking amazing looking. Cool. And it's like, man, if RTA is doing anything like what I just saw in this movie, this is amazing shit. It's like, because they're all sitting around talking, and they're like, someone's like, I've always wanted to be like a cowboy. And like, all right, let's do a cowboy thing. And another guy's like, I'm into ancient Egypt. She's like, all right, hey, we can do ancient Egypt. And then Clarence Macklin's like, I want to do the to be or not to be speech. And like, all right, we'll throw that in here. And they just take everyone's ideas and they figure out like a sort of frame narrative. And they're just these like surreal, mind-bendy plays that like kind of do 100 things. But Coleman or Clarence Macklin throughout the movie is like refining the to be or not to be speech, and he's like doing it over and over and over again. And like watching the actor Clarence Macklin like play the character Clarence Macklin getting better at the to be or not to be speech until he does it for real at the end and he crushes, and you're like, that is like masterful. Like, and it's because it's what Coleman Domingo is also doing in this movie, where he's playing an actor, but the actor he's playing can't be as good at acting as Coleman Domingo. So he has to like exaggerate a little bit more, be a little more sort of contrived in moments. But watching Macklin and Coleman Domingo like play the actor versions of themselves, it's amazing stuff. Like Sing Sing is like, you see like award season movie about Sing Sing prison, and you're like, oh, here we go. Is this like going to be some Green Book shit or what? It is not. This movie is fucking legit. It feels really authentic. It feels real. There are a few moments where I thought they pushed the emotional messages in the movie a little too hard, and it started to feel a little contrived. But overall, those moments are rare, and moment by moment, this movie is funny and authentic and real. And one thing I really love that kind of, because it is a prison movie and it's very real about the dehumanizing effects of prison and the dehumanizing effects on all prisoners. It doesn't matter if you mind your own business and keep your cell clean and do plays. They still treat you like fucking shit and treat you like not human, So this movie is very good about the realities of prison. but it's also doing like 42nd Street. It's also like it is very invested in like the behind the scenes-ness of putting on a play. It's doing Saturday Night. Like it's doing that, and that like is like it's doing what the message of the movie is, which is trying to restore humanity to the inmates, restore agency to the inmates. And the best way to do that is just not make it half a prison movie and half 42nd Street. It's genius. It's really, really well made. I was really blown away by this. I loved so much of it. And just, you know, I'm the last on the train here, but shout out to Coleman Domingo. I mean, this dude's one of the finest actors of his generation. I think we're just realizing it like over the last couple of years. This guy is putting on a fucking masterclass in this movie because he is the one inmate who was an actor and a performer and like and a creative before going to prison, and so he's the one in the group who was like very finicky about sort of the formal nature of a play, and the rest of them are like, fuck off, we'll do whatever we want, like it's creative. And so he has to like sort of like bend to them and like, you know, be less precious about what a play is. It's great. It has so many interesting dynamics in it. I really like Sing Sing.
Stars.
4.5 out of 5 for me.
All right,
high rating. Joe, we both saw Seed of the Sacred Fig, one of the front runners for Best International Movie of the Year and all the awards. Can I do a little bit of backstory, and then I want to hear what you thought about Seed of the Sacred Fig, because you were talking about this, I think, in our first episode.
Yeah,
our first episode, you were talking about Seed of the Sacred Fig, because what happened is the director Mohammad Rasoulof. This is a guy who has had a history of butting heads, to put it very lightly, with the power structure, the rulers, the leaders of Iran, the country that he's from. And specifically, he has been tried and convicted and imprisoned on 3 separate occasions in the past for censorship violations, aka he made a movie that they didn't like the messaging of because he was critical of them. And so this guy's already been in prison 3 separate times. He said, let's make it a 4th, baby. What do you say? Let's go back and let's do it bigger and better than ever. So he makes Seed of the Sacred Fig, a movie that is about the recent sort of round of protests in Iran about wearing the
hijab.
Can you say it again?
Hijab.
Yes, yeah, wearing the hijab, wearing the sort of headdress that women were forced to wear that would obscure their appearance. And there was a bunch of protests recently about women refusing to wear this. Women were killed. Student protesters were killed. It was a violent crackdown, but it was also a violent crackdown that, like a lot of things in oppressive autocratic regimes, you don't get a lot of firsthand information about. Everything's sort of secondhand because they're suppressing all the information that's trying to get out about it. So in Seed of the Sacred Fig, we actually see cell phone footage, actual cell phone footage, a lot of these protests that's very violent, that's very disturbing. And we see the incredible story of this family who is caught in the middle of all this. The dad being a judge who is actually signing execution orders for dissidents, and then the daughters, the new generation, who are siding with the students and siding with the protests, and then a mom who is, traditional but also sympathetic, obviously, to her daughters. So you get the sort of macrocosm in the microcosm. But more in the background of this, after he made this movie and it got accepted to Cannes, the Iranian authorities interrogated the cast and crew. They banned them from leaving the country, and then they pressured them to convince Rasoulof to withdraw the film from Cannes. And then on May 8th of this year, Rasoulof's lawyer announced that the director had been sentenced to 8 years in prison, as well as a flogging, a fine, and a confiscation of his property just for making this movie. Now, shortly after that was announced, Rasoulof, who I'm sure had some indication that this was going to happen, and his crew fled Iran. It was a 28-day escape that he described as exhausting, long, complicated, and anguishing journey. He traveled on foot between border villages, ultimately arriving in a town with a German consulate, and then he was able to escape to Germany. And the reels of the film were actually like smuggled into Germany, and then he finished post-production in Germany, and that's why you'll see, at the Oscars, this is Germany's official submission. A little bit of stolen valor there, Germany.
No, it's nice. But it's somebody had to do it.
You saved the day.
Iran wasn't going to do it.
Yes, yeah. You let him come in and finish it there and do post-production in Germany. That's great. So, oh my God, what an incredible I mean, the courage is unfathomable. We have no reference point or understanding of it, just living our dumb little lives. But oh my God, this is a miracle that this movie exists, that we can see it, that it's out there, and everyone should go see it. Joe, what did you think of Seed of the Sacred Fig?
Amazing story, but without that story, this movie is still great. Even without that background, this movie is really riveting. Because of that story, we know that they had to shoot it basically in secret, a lot of it, like, blinds drawn, sneaking in the camera equipment, setting things up quietly, like shooting secretly. That was how they had to make the movie. Well, that does serve the material, because this is a very interior movie about this family and some choices that they have to make because of their dad's job and because of the protests. But Brett, nothing about this movie was boring. It's almost a 3-hour long runtime.
Earns every minute.
The first 2 hours is a lot of the two daughters talking to the mom, essentially. That sounds boring, but I assure you it isn't. It is actually riveting. I was like on the edge of my seat watching this family sort of navigate their day-to-day and the protests growing and growing. And then the third act sort of explodes excitingly in a whole different way. And then it ends very kind of reminded me of like La Chimera, like sort of like that return to the ancient sort of theme, right? Like in the mood for love, like sort of, and then he like literally gets absorbed by the dusts of Tehran. Like anyway, maybe at the end you can tell why Iran got mad. Like the themes are pretty straightforward.
And the title of
patriarch is twisted, and the ladies are looking to be free, essentially.
Yes.
Nothing secret about his point of view on the regime and their handling of the protests. But I thought the movie was brilliantly acted, wonderfully written, and despite the constraints, like looked great. Like it's as if they made those choices visually anyway.
Yeah.
Blown away.
What'd you rate it?
Oh, 4.5 out of 5.
4.5 out of 5. And I mean, the title itself, Sea of the Sacred Fig, you find this out like, in a sort of opening text section, refers to a species of fig that spreads by wrapping itself around another tree and strangling that tree to death. So it's essentially like a parasitic plant. And this is meant as a metaphor for the theocratic regime in Iran, strangling the country and its culture and its people to death. And this movie really is about what it takes to unknot those roots, like it is a hard, long process to stop an autocratic regime from strangling you to death. And a lot of it starts in the house, in the microcosm, with family relationships, with all of this. But I love, man, talk about like subgenres, the like macrocosm and the microcosm movie. We're going to tell the story of Iran through this family. I love that when it's nailed. Oh my God. I give this a 5 out of 5, Joe. I just don't like it felt like a masterpiece when I was watching it. And certainly it would be on its own, but knowing the context of it, I think matters here, knowing the context of the movie's production and its sort of tortured history. You feel that in the movie, you feel that in the bones of the movie. So this is a 5 out of 5 for me. But
no notes.
Yeah. Now, the other big competitor so far for Best International Movie at the American award shows is, we already mentioned it, Payal Kapadia's All We Imagine as Light. Joe, holy shit. I'll just say out of the gate, and maybe this 5 gives you so little room to work with when you're just rating out of 5. Because I thought...
Well, I'm not going to tell you what it gives you, but... This is what I was thinking.
Yes.
We're just seeing the best movies of the year.
I know.
It's like you just had one night where you went 8 from 9 for 3. It doesn't mean like you're a 45% 3 shooter, you saw some fucking movies.
Yes. Because I will say,
you just saw Seed of the Sacred Fig and All We Imagine is Light. Like it's not their fault. They're 5 out of 5 movies.
God, what a man. Just what a great time of year.
You just saw like
every day you
movies,
can go see just an absolute banger. One of the best movies of the year. Remind you that cinema is far from dead. It's thriving.
Also, the countries are sending us their best movie of the year.
The best.
This
is the best movie
in 1 month.
Yeah.
So here, all right. So is this an Indian movie?
Yes, this
is. Tell me. I really want to know about this because everyone that sees this movie, folks, it's just like this is the best movie of the year. Like this is everyone's.
Now that she cracked into the Globe's Best Director category, this thing's about to go mainstream.
I'm honestly surprised that Nora won the Palme d'Or. Like
I
because
know,
like this movie almost won the Palme d'Or, except Greta played politics as she should have. But Anyway,
this movie won the Grand Prix at Cannes.
Yeah,
this
apparently
year.
this is the movie.
Yes. And it was the first film from India to compete in the main competition since 1994. So I guess maybe like the sort of art house wing of Indian cinema has been in a lull or something, or we're just not paying attention to it. But this should be
it gets no respect.
Or it gets no respect.
Maybe we'll resurge it.
So this should be the movie that restarts we're dumb, and we should restart our interest in Indian cinema, because this thing is a flat out masterpiece. I also gave this 5 out of 5, and it's also, I would say, it's just such my kind of movie. It reminded me a lot of a Mike Leigh movie, where it is just like desire and longing among the working class in a city, and it's also funny and charming. It's like that's movies. That's like the reason we go to the movies, is for that kind of experience. It is about 2 nurses living as roommates in Mumbai. Prabha is the older of the 2 and kind of the maternal figure in the relationship. She's straight-laced, traditional. Her husband, by arranged marriage, lives in Germany, and they never talk. The only time that they have any interaction is he sends her a rice cooker in the mail at one point, and she, like, in the middle of the night, gets up and like hugs it and embraces it, because she's like so lonely and has no connection to anyone. Yeah. Anu, the younger of the 2, is in her 20s. She is freaking just like Gen Z, baby. She's bored at work. She's looking to date and hook up and avoid her inevitable arranged marriage for as long as possible. She falls into a secret relationship with a guy named Shiaz, and they literally just spend the whole movie trying to like find a place that they can fuck, because like they can't do it so that like no one can find out that they fucked. They have to like find a secret place, and it takes the entire movie for them to find one. This is, again, my favorite kind of movie. It's about desire and longing. It features working class characters. It's romantic and disillusioned about life in the big city. Definitely like Mike Leigh vibes, particularly his 80s stuff. Meantime, high hopes, life is sweet. It's a funny, sad movie about working class struggles, and the tragedies aren't high tragedies. No one dies, nobody kills their parents, but these are the relatable tragedies of real life in this movie. One of the most fascinating aspects of the movie is watching Prabha, the older of the 2 women, the older nurse, navigate the emotions of her arranged marriage. The scene with like the rice cooker at night is so like moving and like sad. But she does have to kind of like indulge these like surrogate centers of emotion, because her husband is a guy she barely met, and then he moved to Germany, and that's it. And that's her husband. Like, she can't do anything about that. And so there's this like, midnight interactions with the rice cooker. There's like this like guy that she rescues from drowning later in the movie, because she's a nurse, and then she like pretends that this is her husband and like has this imaginary conversation with him. There's a line that she says, there's so many good lines in this movie, but there's one line that just stuck with me, where she's talking about her arranged marriage, and like, we met and we got married right away, and then he moved to Germany, and for a while we were like trying to talk, we were like calling each other, and then she's like, at a point we just stopped talking, and she was like, I think there was just nothing left to say. And it's like, and you realize she means it like literally, like she doesn't know this person, and they literally just run out of things to talk about, and then they stop talking, but they're still married. It's like, these dynamics are so interesting, because they raise a compelling question in the movie, which is like, because she's also like a traditionalist. She doesn't want to, like, there's a doctor at work that's like, they have a little will they, won't they? And the ultimate answer is they won't, because she's married, and she's not going to like, even though the marriage is like bullshit, like it's just fake. It's like your dad made you get married to this guy and you never see him. Like, so it raises this question of like, why do we personally in our lives like enforce these cultural rules that just exist to inhibit our happiness and freedom? Like, why do we fight against our own interests in the name of these power structures that just exist to dehumanize us and make a mockery of our lives? And the answer is, much like we see in around the Sea of the Sacred Fig, and we see in this movie, because to challenge them, you have to be willing to throw your fucking life away. You have to be willing to like die. And like, most people are not willing to do that. And of course not. Right. And so you don't like blame her for this, because like, what is she going to do? Take on the entire fucking state and become an outcast and lose her job? It's like, no. So there is like, this movie is also suggesting that like, without like rationalizing that, this movie suggests that like, for people like this caught in the middle that are just trying to live their lives, there are other types. There are like stolen moments of happiness, and this is a movie that is like in search of those like stolen, temporary but meaningful moments of happiness that that's how we all sort of treat happiness. It's like, it's not a thing that we just achieve and we get to live there forever. No, life is going to be shit until we die. But you get these, like, you find stolen moments. There's this scene at the end where they all go to like this beach town, and the movie ends with them at this like beachside cafe, and it's so small. It's like the smallest thing in the world, but like it means the universe. And they're going to think about this weekend at the beach cafe for the rest of their lives, right? And that's where this movie lives, and that's why it's fucking awesome. 5 out of 5.
You heard it here first, folks. 5 out of 5.
All right, 8. Let's see if we can get through. Oh man! All right. 8 minutes. Let's fucking blow. Let's blow. Here we go. You ready? All right. Wait, I don't want to miss out on Werewolves starring Frank Grillo. Can you do Werewolves real quick, Margo? Sorry, can we go out of order and do Werewolves next? And then I'm gonna blow through a couple. And this is helpful information. You're about to go into your holiday season, and you need to know what to see, what to avoid, so you don't waste your time, baby, because life is precious and it's sweet. Joe, what do you think of Werewolves starring Frank
Werewolves is the best, worst horror movie of the year. Horror has gotten too good. Horror's like all good. But when you used to go look for a horror movie at the video store, you want to find those like wretched oddities that titillate and excite, and you and your friends feel like you just discovered the greatest thing of all time, right?
Here we go.
Well, Werewolves will give you that in spades.
Fuck
I
yes.
thought I had fallen into like, the TLA video in 1999. I was having a blast at Werewolves. It is about how the movie was almost called Year 2, but then they called it Werewolves because everyone thought, well, what's year 1? And then the guy would go, no. It's year 2 of the super moon coming, the night when the moon's close enough to Earth that everybody that looks at the moon turns into a werewolf. The first one was a disaster. The second one is coming. So
you know what my thought would have been? Oh, they made a sequel to that Jack Black, Michael Cera movie.
Right, year 2.
Yeah.
No, but this is year 2 of the supermoon. Anyway, Frank Grillo plays like the Fauci of Werewolves, and he and his like hot,
role Grillo was
doctor,
born to play.
Grillo's a hot doctor, and this lady's a hot doctor, and they both figured out these eye drops called moon screen that if you put them in your eyes, you can go outside and look at the moon during the supermoon and not turn into a werewolf. But it runs out.
No.
So the test they were running, they thought it worked, but it didn't work, and the werewolves escaped. And then Frank Grillo and the doctor have to go out and like hunt the werewolves. Yeah. This movie's got it all. It's got pro firefighter shit for days. It's great. Frank Grillo is my Statham. He is amazing in this.
Good call.
And it also has sort of like kaiju-esque werewolves, like guys in werewolf costumes. And at the end, spoiler for Werewolves, 2024's Frank Grillo's Werewolves. At the end, Frank Grillo's like, fuck it, I'll take care of this. He gets all the moon screen out of his eyes, and he goes outside. He looks at the moon. He turns into the Frank Grillo werewolf. And then Brett,
a spoiler that just makes me want to watch the movie even more.
And then here's the big spoiler. Yeah. And then Frank Grillo werewolf grabs the bad werewolf's head, and he rips it out, and you see like the spine of the werewolf come out like in Mortal Kombat.
He did a finishing move.
I love this movie.
That's
it's in my top 10 horror movies of the year.
What?
It's 10 because it's bad, but I fucking love it. This is the movie. If you are 12, go rent this movie with your friends for the sleepover this weekend, or your cousins at Christmas. Are you kidding me? Werewolves. 2.5 stars.
Wow. Go see Werewolves, baby. A movie you can skip is Maria, the biopic about the final days of opera singer Maria Callas that Angelina Jolie's getting a lot of.
Can I skip this, or do I have to watch this?
You have to watch it. You have to watch it because you might like it. I don't know. You liked Queer, and I didn't like that. So look, it's a Pablo Larraín movie. I read that this was like an intentional trilogy. Jackie, Spencer, and Maria.
It wasn't intentional.
Whatever. Pablo, they're going to try to make you make like 10 of these because now you're the guy who like whatever like A-lister who hasn't been in a good movie for a couple of years is going to come to you and say, hey, I want to be famous woman. Make me be famous woman in a movie.
He made Spencer.
With Kristen Stewart,
a movie I loved.
And Jackie with Natalie Portman.
Which I liked a lot.
Yes. Now he made Maria with Angelina Jolie as Maria Callas. It's my least favorite of the three. I like Spencer a lot as well. Jackie, so. Look, it's a B+ biopic that provides an A-list actress with an Oscar caliber role while aggressively avoiding any cinematic devices that might get in the way of the performance, such as story and tension and characters who exist for a reason other than to reflect the light of their glorious queen, in this case, Angelina Jolie. Look, I don't know why Angelina Jolie is getting like Oscar buzz for this. It really ain't that performance.
Does
it
she
really
sing?
ain't that. It really ain't that. Fuck no, she doesn't sing.
All
She
right,
sings. She sings what? Verdi? I think she does the aria from La Boheme.
I'm wondering why she gets all the buzz for
I
the
don't
nom.
know,
Okay,
Joe.
all right.
Because look, this movie is like it has its like moments of beauty, but it's because like Angelina Jolie is beautiful and Paris is beautiful and like Verdi wrote some banging arias. Doesn't mean the movie doesn't get like stolen valor credit for that. Like it's beautiful because of what it's about, not because of what it is. And overall, I just found it boring and slow and her performance uninspired. I truly don't understand why this is getting like so much Oscar. But I honestly wonder if like once people see it, the Oscar buzz is going to dry up real fast.
This sounds like Maestro. With Bradley Cooper,
dude, Maestro looks like
fucking Apocalypse Now.
Belatar compared to this.
All right,
yeah.
okay, all right.
All right, the order. All right,
Maestro
I didn't give it
Amadeus.
Yeah, 3 out of 5 for Maria.
3. It is good.
Yeah, I know, but look, it's competent. It's just boring as fuck, and the performance is not all that.
Not bad.
And I love Maria Callas, okay? I know what you're going to say online. Look at this dumbass.
This idiot
Look at
doesn't
this
respect
neckbeard.
Maria Callas.
Bitch, I got a 2 CD set of Maria Callas arias that I've listened to. 2
CDs.
That I've listened to so much over my life, okay? I love Maria Callas. Maybe that's why I didn't like this movie. Maybe you're the fucking amateur, okay? Yeah, I got a dumb Georgia Bulldog shirt on and a fucking neckbeard, whatever. Maybe you're the asshole. Did you ever think of that? I know who Maria Callas is, okay?
I don't think you have a neck beard.
The people say it online. They call me Neckbeard.
Okay.
The Order, directed by Justin Kurzel and written by Zach Balin, based on the 1989 nonfiction book The Silent Brotherhood.
Oh, stop! I'm gonna stop you.
Yes.
Right. This guy's made movies that we like, right?
So Kurzel,
I feel like he made a movie or two that's good, right?
Yeah. So he had a breakout hit with Snowtown, that Australian like crime thing back in 2011. He then made the Michael Fassbender Macbeth. That was like okay, but like when you actually saw it, it didn't live up to the hype. Then he made Assassin's Creed. Fine, sucks, but you got to make your money. True History of the Kelly Gang. You remember that movie?
No, I actually don't.
Something called Nitrum. I didn't see.
Okay,
so like
been around the block.
He's an Australian guy that had like a breakout hit 14 years ago and has kind of struggled to follow it up. And The Order is again good but not great. It is about look. I'll say this out of the gate. I think everyone should see The Order because this is like a chapter in American history that everyone should know about. It's basically like the beginnings of kind of the neo-white supremacy that we see now from, January 6th to,
We're familiar with white
4chan,
supremacy.
et cetera. But this is like, if you're picking origin points, you can pick 100 of them. This is not a bad place to start, is learning about The Order and about that fucking book that they all love, the Turner Diaries. There's a lot about the Turner Diaries in here. So there's a lot of like the DNA of the QAnon Jan 6 white supremacist, right? There's a lot of like, where did that all come from?
Yeah, I like that.
And this is back when it lived where it should have lived, which is like in the middle of fucking nowhere in the Pacific Northwest on some dumb compound where all these dummies can hang out and like stockpile weapons and then all die in a fucking blaze. But now it's like mainstream. That was the most shocking part of this movie to me, being like, holy shit, these fucking rednecks are like mainstream now and they're like getting positions in our government. So there is a lot of historical interest around that. And I thought the performances were excellent. Jude Law he's doing like Ray Velcaro in this movie. Shout out True Detective Season 2. Mustache, plaid shirt, like tough fucking backwoods
Does he
FBI
mumble?
agent. He's very like
does he punch a fat kid with the knuckles?
Oh, like in True Detective, in the
Season
first
2?
episode of True Detective Season 2. No, he
Brass
does not.
knuckles?
He does not. But
Okay.
he's excellent. I think he's found a second life here as like weathered, rough around the edges Jude Law. I liked him a lot. Nicholas Hoult, shout out, taking some really intriguing career risk. He plays the leader of the white supremacists in this movie, and does an excellent job, and is like clean shaven and like handsome.
Holt's
so he's
good.
like a terrifying,
Scary.
all of his like accomplices like look like dumb fucking rednecks.
Yeah.
He is like kind of handsome and presentable.
The
and
Gus Fring of sorts.
It adds to the sort of terror of it all. So Nicholas Hoult, shout out. The most inspired casting, though, Mark Maron as Alan Berg. Do you know Alan Berg? He's the talk show host in the 80s who was 70s and 80s who was just like very outspoken against anti-Semitism and white supremacy and just sort of organized religion and sort of the bad things that can sort of come out of that. And then
Maron's in it. That's cool.
Yes, he's like perfect casting because he's just on the mic doing Alan Berg monologues. But then Alan Berg, if you don't know the story, tragically was killed by this white supremacist group. Was machine gunned outside his house. Yes. Yeah.
All right, that sounds good.
Yes, but there's a lot of good stuff.
What dragged it down?
There's a lot of good stuff in it.
What was it like overlong? Was it slow?
The problem,
what was the problem?
You might not like this critique, but because I know you're not a plothead, and I'm not a plothead either.
That's okay.
But the problem with the movie, as someone who's not a plothead, is the procedural elements of the movie, which I think are very important for a movie like this.
Yeah.
And when I say procedural, I am talking about the investigation, the execution of like the police raids, all of the sort of like plot elements around a movie where like the FBI is hunting down domestic terrorists, right? Those procedural elements are important because they give the movie rhythm and momentum and tension and all of that. And, you know,
sorry, just real quick. When a movie has to have narrative thrust to be like engaging because it's a crime thriller, then of course I'm in favor of like a good plot. I don't like when people pick apart things that are trying to be more than just like a plot driven pot boiler. Like when people start worrying about the plot instead of focusing on sort of the way it makes you feel.
Fair enough.
But like in this kind of movie, if the plot's no good, then it destroys the point of the crime movie. Yeah, I get you there. Yeah.
And I thought a lot of the procedural elements were fumbled here. Okay. Like, because they also set up a sort of like Sherlock Holmes versus Moriarty thing. They're like Jude Law and Nicholas Hoult are just both masterminds of what they do. He's the smartest FBI guy, and this is the smartest racist. Yeah, the smartest racist that's ever existed. Okay. And like you have to take him seriously because he's literally building an army. He's going to blow up a fucking Oklahoma federal building or whatever, right? So, but then we don't they don't have enough beats that play out that antagonism in a satisfying way. Like I just felt like the structural plot elements of the movie were fumbled, and thus you have a movie sort of without a narrative engine to it, and you're just left with the performances and the historical sort of facts of it all. And you know, I can say that too because I just recently watched Rebel Ridge, which I think nails its procedural elements, and thus creates like a real tension, real sort of edge of your seat thing. There wasn't a lot of edge of your seatness in this movie, and there should have been because that's the way it was set up and structured. So not a great movie, but a good movie about America's Heart of Darkness with some very strong performances. I'd say it's worth a watch in conjunction with some research about the Order and the Turner Diaries and all this stuff. If you're like me, like me, and you want to know about all the worst things that happen in this this wicked world of ours.
Oh, this movie requires homework.
If you got enough problems in your life right now, there's no need to add the Order to the pile. Watch something else. 3.5 out of 5. The Return. Okay, we got to go quick. The Return. I saw The Return. The Return. Okay, so The Return is directed by Uberto Pasolini. And for a second I said, oh, is he related to Piero Pasolini? No, but he is related to Luchino Visconti. He's Luchino Visconti's nephew. So that's funny. I guess, you can tell me, I guess in Italy they only have 5 last names.
Fuck
maybe.
Off.
All right.
Oh, so, this guy.
Starring Ray Fiennes and Juliette Binoche, this film is a retelling of the ending of Homer's Odyssey when Odysseus finally comes back to Ithaca and all the suitors are his son Telemachus is there and he's pissy and the suitors are there and Penelope's been waiting for him the whole time, blah, blah, blah.
It's me, see? Arrow, bang, boom.
How'd it go? I was pumped for The Return. Dude, Ray Fiennes all knotted up and muscular, and then we see his dick, and then we're doing the Odyssey. You do.
Nice.
The Return, unfortunately,
at least you get a half star for that.
I gave him 2 stars for the dick.
2 for the dick.
They're the only 2. It's
You're
2
kidding?
out of 5.
Are you serious?
The Return is a plotting, humorless, cheap-looking retelling of the least interesting part of the Odyssey that sure enough
part of the Odyssey.
Doesn't find a shred of anything compelling or timely to say over the course of its 2-hour runtime. Ray Fiennes and Juliette Binoche are tremendous actors, and I love seeing this muscly, naughty, tanned, 90 to 100% naked version of Rafe. I have no idea why they're in this movie, though. I hope the pay was good, but I can't imagine it was, and I don't know what attracted them to this bad project. I said this last week about the piano lesson. I should have saved it for The Return. Much of the movie feels like the dramatized scenes from a History Channel documentary. Cheap and bad, not up to the par of a feature film. I think they were going for authentic and gritty in their production design of Ithaca and the costumes, but you need a camera that reflects that choice. And here, this sort of uninspired camera work just gives you plenty of time to look at how bad everything looks and how cheap everything looks. Telemachus's hair and cloak, oh my god. See if you can just Google Telemachus in The Return and see what his hair and cloak look like. You will laugh your ass off. Right. The supporting performances besides Fiennes and Binoche are forgettable. I have to imagine they were constantly looking at their supporting actors and going was that Was that it? Was that how you're going to do it? Is that okay? All right. Okay. All right. Sorry. Can we do another take? I thought that was fake. I didn't think that he was going to do it that bad. I have to imagine they were constantly saying things like that, or maybe not because they're nice and they're just there for a payday. Now, there's a moment late in the movie when they do the axes, and then Odysseus takes out the fucking trash and he like kills all the suitors. I love that. Right? That's the best and the movie like almost for a second stumbles into an understanding of itself, but ultimately this director is too boring and the production is too cheap and they can't even choreograph a fucking fight scene halfway decent. They like remember in the trailer when you're like, oh, it's violent. It's not violent. It's all they don't do any of the, like they just show Odysseus like bathed in blood and you don't see it because they don't have a fucking budget to do effects, I guess. I don't know.
What's the story?
Everything is off camera. Anything that would be of interest, like him plunging a sword into the neck of one of these dumb, muscly bro suitors is off camera. But not like strategically off camera. Like, oops, we don't have a budget for that off camera. This is a shame because I do think there's an interesting movie in here about old ass Ray Fiennes whooping the shit out of a bunch of muscle bros. They're trying to fuck his wife and kill his son.
That sounds great.
But in order to make that movie, you have to be smart and funny, and this movie is neither. 2 out of 5, and that's only because we see Fiennes' dick.
Hold on. I know we're flying, but also
I have one more movie.
No, that's fine. Okay. I gotta talk about this fucking Return for a second.
Yeah, please.
What's the story here? So Visconti's like dipshit nephew wanted to make a movie. And
you know what Visconti
got the money? What is
I
this?
literally thought this was like, oh yeah, like a nepo baby finally
this?
got enough money to make a movie. Visconti made Full Monty. He's been in the game for a while. He made the original Full Monty.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he produced
Which
it?
is like I think of as a British movie.
Me too.
All right, let me
Do you
double
think
check this.
There's like a new on,
All right, wait,
like,
he didn't direct it. Wait, hold on.
Visconti had nothing
it's
to
on
do with
Visconti's Wikipedia page though.
The Full Monty.
All right, he produced it. Not Visconti, Pasolini. It kept saying Visconti's his uncle.
Yeah. Okay.
Uberto Pasolini produced the original. Okay.
All right.
So no, this checks out. This checks out.
Okay.
Go ahead and tell the story you were just telling. This checks out.
Visconti's piece of shit nephew,
Uberto Pasolini.
Did he direct this movie, The Return?
Yes.
And he has a bunch of Visconti money, so that's how he gets the connections.
Okay.
The
this explains because he only
and
produced Full Monty.
Okay. Made money on that.
And now he's like, I want to direct a movie like my uncle.
All right. What's the
I want to make The Leopard.
This sucks. What's the next movie? It's not like The Leopard.
No, we're ending on a high note, Joe. And this is a movie I know you haven't seen.
Yeah.
I know you haven't seen it, but
Which
you
one?
need to watch this because it must qualify for your horror power rankings of the year. And I'm talking about a Canadian movie. French-Canadian movie called Red Rooms, baby. I finally got around to watching this. It's on streaming right now. If you're a horror fan or if you're just a nasty little freak who likes dark shit, Red Rooms is your movie and you should watch it over the holidays if you haven't seen it already. Tell your family to take a hike.
Take a piss.
Take a hike. Go tell them to go eat eat leftovers in the kitchen and you go up to your nasty little room and you watch Red Rooms, baby, because it's good, okay? Written and directed by Pascal Plante. This movie stars Juliette Garapi, and it's about a mysterious fashion model, Juliette Garapi, and a loner who becomes obsessed with this ongoing very public trial that's going on in Montreal, and it's the guy that's on trial. If he's guilty, we don't know if he's guilty or not.
The trial.
But if he is guilty, Joe, this is one of the sickest fucking sickos to ever walk this earth. Because what this movie asks you to imagine is, what if Hostel and Saw and Videodrome were like real? What if that was like something that like really happened? Like snuff films produced for rich patrons or whatever, right? What if that was real? And what if we cut to the point where we've caught the guy and he's now on trial?
That's fun.
Right? That's pretty interesting, right?
Yes.
And then on top of that, what if we took this like woman who has nothing to do seemingly with the case, who has become like obsessed with it, like serial murder, serial killer groupies, true crime obsessives. What if we bring that in as well? And let's just like stir the pot and see what the fuck happens.
Hell yeah.
And what happens is a really, really, really interesting movie that's about the dark web and the internet and voyeurism and parasocial relationships and our relationship to the justice system and to crime and the sort of luridness of true crime and all of that. in one. And the engine of this movie is the main character played by Juliette Gariepy. Her name is Kelly Ann in the movie. And the mystery of this movie is, who is this person and what are their motivations? Because one thing I love about this movie is it doesn't have like it's like a puzzle box of a movie, but it doesn't have any MacGuffins. Like the puzzle box is like, who is the main character and what are they doing and why are they doing it? And you are given like so little information doled out in strategic ways that like the tension and the suspense just builds, and you're like, what? Because this character does extreme things. You see them do very extreme things, breaking into the house of the woman whose daughter was killed by this maniac. Like you see her do crazy things, and the question is, why? To what end? Who is this person? What do they hope to achieve it from it? What's going to be the end game here? I'm not going to give anything away about Red Rooms except that you should see it as soon as possible. It's quite amazing, and
quite amazing.
Loved it. I gave it 4.5 out of 5.
Jeez.
Yes, I really liked Red Rooms, baby. And it's one of those
4.5
movies
out of 5. That shit I reserve for fucking Seed of Sacred.
Because here's the thing. It's one of those movies where like the best thing that happened to it is it had a micro budget, because like it's a movie that like benefits from limitations, benefits from
ain't that the way, Brett?
2 locations, right? Yeah. Benefits from all these limitations on it, and it fucking blossoms.
How about that,
baby?
folks? Yeah.
Blossoms. You wall off a little small garden and you see what grows. In this case, it was Red Rooms. That's the end of the last episode of 2024 of Movies, Baby. We did it. We got to the end. But don't go anywhere, because in 5 minutes over on the Patreon, we're going to be doing the last weekend at Bergman's of 2024.
But
with Nell and I versus Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure as we continue our 80s series. Which one will we vote for? Which one will we like more? It'll be a quick, fast, fun episode of Weekend at Bergman's.
Fun.
It'll be so fast. And Joe wants to emphasize how fun it will also be.
Oh, it'll be fun.
But I want to say it will be so fast, because we are
like, Bill does a really good thing, and then other like.
But we'll get our points out, and we won't be redundant, and you'll have a lot of fun, baby. And we'll have costumes. Yeah. So make sure you join the Patreon, patreon.com/moviesbaby with 5 Ys, where you can watch all episodes of Weekend at Bergman's and all the bonus stuff we do on Movies Baby. And thank you so much for joining us this year on Movies Baby and supporting us. And we will be back in the new year for our new time and our new day, Mondays at probably at 10 a.m.
Pacific.
10 a.m. Pacific. And the Monday that we're coming back is Monday the 13th. So enjoy your break. Please stay subscribed to our Patreon. We'll make it worth your while over the break. And then we'll see you on January 13th, or we'll see you in about 10 minutes for Weekend at Bergman's. Bye.